Alright, so welcome back to a live stream. We're going to make sure everything is squared away as far as how it looks on the screen. And we're going to play some games. So, excuse me. We are at, I guess it's not showing the rating. I don't have that signed up. I guess because I don't have a match on, it's not showing my rating. But we are playing some chess. I just drove back home. Well, a couple hours ago, I drove back home from training. If you follow me on Instagram, you can see the highlights from today's training. Went really well. I was able to snatch up to 125, clean and jerk 155, back squat 235. Attempted for a double, but it wasn't really close. And then did a 260 deadlift or clean deadlift, however you want to call it, for a triple, because I kind of ran out of space in the bar to add more weight. But deadlifts for me aren't doing 260 for 3 is already plenty. But I actually have one blister opened up on my palm, which is a pretty common one. I actually noticed I have one on my thumb as well, which I didn't notice till I got home. So quite a lot of good training. But I also had forgotten my wrist wraps at home, so I actually I had thumb tape and knee wraps and all of that, but my left wrist didn't give me any issues. It was also interesting as well. So Friday, I drove back up home, and I had taken some ibuprofen that morning in anticipation of going hog wild on Saturday. If you hear gunshots in the background, it's well, obviously it's fireworks, but whatchamacallit, I had taken that on Friday, but I had brought some more to have Saturday morning before I went to go and train, and I just forgot to take it. So I was feeling everything and didn't feel anything. So it was a really positive experience with that. I didn't have any support on my wrist, and I was still able to do heavy snatch and clean jerks. My left wrist I didn't need to warm it up at all or anything particular. It felt fine the whole session. Didn't even think about it really. So I was really surprised of how well my wrist responded. I thought I would honestly be limited. I thought I would have to potentially use straps to help with the wrist, but I didn't have any issues at all, which is pleasantly surprising. So definitely am happy about that, and obviously hitting the big numbers as well. Certainly can't be disappointed with that. We're just going to push up here. So if he doesn't, so he does take, so we can go up to there. We can attack up to there. We'll leave this knight here to protect this square. We can actually go to here, and then it opens this up. So we're doing okay. We're tied on time. I was up for a little bit on time, so I thought I was doing pretty well. But yeah, I just had a lot of fun training today. It was nice to train with other weightlifters. I never get to experience that, or I just never do that really, because it's just not really an opportunity that's typically available for me. So I get to experience that. So I definitely think it gave me a bit of boost with training. That unfortunately, it's 3.5 hours away from my house. That was 4 for some reason, but it's actually 3.5 from the gym to my house down here. But it isn't. But I suppose when you count the 30 minutes driving from my parents' house to that gym and then driving home, it is truly 4 hours of driving. But it's quite nice to get that in. I thought a little bit about training in Columbus on Saturday, but I just really didn't feel like it, to be honest. And there wasn't really a specific reason to do it or not, but I'm kind of glad I didn't. So that session you won't be seeing. It wasn't particularly good in a sense. I got up to 110 and 140 without missing, but the fun thing that I experienced was missing 120 a whole bunch of times. So I actually missed it 8 times before I gave up, which in some sense obviously is not good, but to have the confidence to like, all right, I'm going to keep hammering at this weight. It does at least give you, especially today, gave me the confidence I was going to be able to do it. But certainly it wasn't good in that sense to be doing that. I don't know. We're down on time, so we have to play expeditiously. All right. I feel like that was a mistake. He should not have taken with that piece, because he can give me. So I feel like he's in a bad spot. He can give me a check. He can do that as well. We gotta move somewhere. I'm in check. Ooh, that was almost bad. All right, we gotta lock in. Remain locked. Give him a check. Give him a second check. Give him a checkmate. Not a checkmate yet. Whew. 0.4 seconds. So very clutch there. But so we're up to what, 1275, so not too bad. But yeah, it was real fun today. And that the gym up in Canton, Ohio. So it's the whole facility is called Unrivaled Fitness. And the weightlifting club there is Rubber City Weightlifting, which I think many years ago was, well, obviously it was in a different place because that building is not super old, but I don't know where they were actually based out of before. I would assume somewhere in Akron, since Rubber City is a nickname for Akron. But yeah, they've been there for years, and unfortunately, I can't really be on a weightlifting team necessarily because there's not really one. Really, the closest place that's near me is in Dayton, and the drive itself is like the cost and the drive itself isn't honestly that bad, but the problem is that the hours are reasonable for a gym. They're not necessarily bad hours, but when you account for the fact that my school ends at 4:05 and I wouldn't be able to get to to Dayton before, I have no idea, but basically they would be closed by the time I would get there. So like they wouldn't really be during the week feasible for me to get there, and then obviously on the weekends it would be fine. But if I'm paying for a gym membership, I want to be able to use it more than the weekends, and that's where like the value proposition becomes more difficult for me to justify, is if I could only use it. And I don't even know if they're open on Sundays, but that would be like the closest to like a weightlifting team that I could find to train with. But it's just not unfortunately, Cincinnati for whatever reason just doesn't have like a big weightlifting club or any really major weightlifting gyms. The closest there is to one is the RTS Barbell that's in downtown Cincinnati, but that's not a weightlifting specific gym. So it is for general fitness. It's not really specifically for Olympic weightlifting. You can do it there. It's in theory, a good place to do it, but it's $100 a month. I just blundered that piece, and so it's not a bad place to lift. But when it's in downtown Cincinnati, which is a terrible place to drive during rush hour, really anywhere in Cincinnati that's kind of a general thing, but specifically going to downtown is certainly not where I would want to be driving on a consistent basis. And obviously $100 a month is about $65 more than what my current gym is. And with that $100, it's not like you're on a weightlifting team or you're getting coaching or anything. You're literally just lifting with other people, which is fine, or potentially lifting with other people. You know, it's just an open gym essentially, which is fine. It doesn't mean it's, you know, necessarily bad or anything, but when you're looking for something, you want to be able to find something that has the value that you're looking for, but also blundering my queen. So unfortunately that game's a loss. Yikes. But you're looking for the value, but also like the realistic convenience of actually going to that place. Because the gym I'll go to now is 30 minutes away, but the direction that it is not getting caught by rush hour traffic. It is, but it's like it's a different animal going to downtown, and it's $65 cheaper. And the people that are there are really cool too. And I think it's more important to be around really strong people versus being around necessarily weightlifters. And that's not to say that it's bad to be around weightlifters. Of course, that would be like in theory ideal, but I don't want to spend 2 hours driving to go to a gym when I could literally walk in my backyard and go and train there and do you know, a really productive training session. I feel like this is just correct. Yeah, because I'm still up 2 things of material and I get a castle, so it definitely was correct. But it's definitely the tricky thing, at least, you know, being down here, is there's not really a lot of, let me close this door, air's kicking on, but there's just not a lot of facilities that would be ideal for weightlifting in general. But when you're looking for an actual, you know, team or whatever, there's really not anything that's around. And I don't know, I mean, obviously the distance would be a major factor for me wanting to go somewhere, but you know, obviously you have to account for the costs. And if wait, why wouldn't you just, what's wrong with that guy? But you have to account for the distance, the cost, and the, you know, the quality of what you're getting. All right, this guy's actually a maniac, and it's hard to justify that. I mean, $100 a month for just a general gym membership, even if it's 24 hours, is ridiculous. For that, I could save $100 a month and just make my shed a mecca of weightlifting and just outfit it for winter. You know, it's like once you start getting to prices like that, it's like just save the money and just invest it all in building the perfect home setup. But obviously, there's some benefits to being around others and you know, experiencing that. But I don't know. I have a wedding to go to next week that will be back up north, so I might potentially lift up at that gym again. I'm not really sure though. It kind of depends on what the training I do will look like. Because this was the end of the first 3-week block. So what's up, Tate? Yeah, and that's it, but like you have to account for that when you're looking for a gym. Like I have the ability to drive around, but like I'm not going to pay, you know, $100 a month when I don't have to. Like it's like if that was literally, you know, if I lived in Wyoming and that was the only place that I could train, like then you're kind of, you know, you kind of don't have a choice. As I continue to blunder all of my pieces away, so I completely get that. But when you have the choice, then it's hard to justify it when you're not getting anything more than just a gym space, and there's other gym space. Even if I didn't want to go to the gym that I'm currently at, there's one that's on the way to work where I used to train at. I could still make do training there if I was like really stuck about finding a place. That would be like pure desperation, but like that gym is still cheaper than that $100 a month gym, and I'd be able to do all the lifting. Like the $100 a month gym is out of it's. I remember driving there the first time, and it's a really nice. Like he did a good job like building it and setting it up, and it has like everything you would need for good training. But the problem I would have would be just existing. Dang, I'm just gonna lose this game, aren't I? Oh my goodness, that knight and bishop has just been hanging. Let's lock in. I just don't have time. It's unfortunate. Well, the last time I played someone that was in one of these streams, they just cheated, and it was hilarious. But yeah. And that's the kind of the stinky thing is like when you're kind of stuck like that, there really isn't like if you're thinking of walking distance for 99% of people that are going to a gym, then it's so difficult. Like if I had to walk to a gym, it would be a Planet Fitness. That would be the only gym with any sort of like walking distance. And then obviously I have to drive to school. Like there's a gym and what's weird too is like if I wanted to pay to go to a CrossFit gym, like I would have a lot more locations, but the hour CrossFit is over $100 a month, and the hours are always just horrendous. And I don't do CrossFit, so it's like the worst possible place for me to go and try to train. For the most part, like just for like the cost and the hours, it's you have to find that balance of like a place you can actually go to. Like I need a place that's always open. I need a place that I can do weightlifting at, and a place that's not an exorbitant distance away or an exorbitant cost. And when it gets to $100 a month, I feel like I keep saying that, but like once you get to that price, like I'm expecting coaching, I'm expecting to be on a team, I'm expecting a lot on top of simply just having a gym space, because that's where I train today would be similar to like that $100. I think it's a little bit, it's like 110 or 115 at least. It was your, I don't know if it's different now, but like for close to $100, you're getting coaching, a team, all of the benefits, you know, with that. And I don't necessarily, you know, want that or like, you know, desperate for that, but it's like, man, that's crazy that like another gym could charge $100 and you just get a gym. The gym I go to now is 35 or whatever, and you get that same value. Oh no. Oh no, it's not. He's not hanging, not yet. Oh baby, you got what I need, but you say you just don't want to cheat, and I don't believe you, because it doesn't make any sense why you would want to randomly play. I don't know what to do. I'm in a war zone outside. He's gonna drop down because he's a clan. Oh, he didn't. Not a clan. I'll have to play a time time strain that gives me more time. Maybe we try some rapid. Oh yeah, I'm sure you're 7 years old, only 800 rating. I'm sure you're not cheating. It's actually hilarious. It's actually kind of funny because like literally I don't. You might have even been here for that, Tate. That person that literally was just cheating when they played. And I don't think I actually even played them. We just looked at their past games and they beat someone that was like a 2000 rating or something that was like absurd. Yeah, no, I don't have any really interest in playing you, especially because you're lying. You're saying you're 7 and you're an 800 elo, you've been playing for, you know, that amount of time or whatever. Like it's kind of just cringe just to be making stuff up just to play a random game of chess. It's odd because like I don't know what you really get out of it, but I guess it's just like to flex your ego. Because like when you cheat in playing chess, like to me it's odd. It's like using AI to make an art picture and saying that you did it. It's just like, if I guess like if you want to say you have a certain accomplishment, it makes sense, but it's just bizarre because like why would that even, like, I don't get why it would matter to someone when it's not a valid thing. I'm not Googling. I don't know why you think I would care about what your name is. It's pretty, you're pretty full of yourself. I do appreciate that. I do like it. But, no. So, Tate, what happened to that gym you had previously gone to? Like, why did you move somewhere else? I'd much rather have a conversation with you, Tate, than the guy that's just randomly cheating to play online chess. We're in some time constraints. Alright, this is a weird position. I feel like I'm about to lose like 8 pieces. Alright. To lock in, to pop it, lock it, and drop it. All right. We're constrained. Ooh. Ooh. Oh! Oh, he wins on time. All right, we gotta play longer. If I get distracted, then I need to have more leeway. So you say you're switch jobs? Is it just for the summer, and then you get to go back to that gym, or is this like a permanent thing that you're going to? I was chatting with my friend. He coaches at that. He coaches at the gym I was at today. He's telling me about a job up north. I was like, I'm happy down that, and that's the other tricky thing. It's not like if I were to move back up north, it would be for family reasons. Like if there was some sort of, if I had a reason to move up for family, if there was some sort of like health reason or something like that. But to just go and weightlift, like I love weightlifting and I do it all the time, but it's not worth like I love my job too, so it's like I'm not gonna move away from my job just to be in a better weightlifting situation. Unless I like had to move up north for some reason. Like if I had to move back home for whatever reason, like I'm not restricted in that regard. It's perhaps like the luckiest thing of my life is that I'm financially secure enough to where it's like if I literally had to move next week, then I would be able to do it. It would be actually possible for me to figure that out, get and then, you know, actually move and then get my house sold and you know, do all that stuff that you need to. So thankfully my life is organized enough in that way. But summaries. Yeah, so it sounds like if you switch jobs for the summer that you would be like you have a different job depending on the like it's a summer job for school or something. I'm not sure though. So I know when I was in college I worked at one camp 1 year and then another one. That makes sense. And remote work is like, it's crazy how many jobs that people thought they had to be in the office and that you could just do remote and it not ever be a problem. But now suddenly, because they realized that people had a better work-life balance, that you just didn't need to work as much as you did. It kind of showed that not necessarily that a lot of jobs were scams, but that a lot of jobs did not require a lot of the work, and that when you are set through your own devices, you just kind of get your work done, and then you don't I guess you're just not under control of the company as much, if that makes sense. But it's a very interesting concept because like obviously everyone had to do it during COVID and it just kind of like stuck around because like remote jobs prior to that were really rare. But then after it's like everyone was able to have it, but then these companies, they rent these giant buildings for their businesses and they want people in them to use them, so they're not just wasting money on rent. But really a lot of businesses could just go fully remote for a lot of stuff, and still get whatever stuff they need done. I don't know, it's a weird part of the economy, I think. But yeah, that's how the gym I was up at today, it's like just holidays I go up there. And like I guess I technically have the freedom, like I could drive and go and see them more frequently, but it's a 3.5 hour drive. So it's like technically I can, but it's such a long drive, and I don't generally want to drive that much all the time. Obviously, you know, there's wear and tear on my actual car, but just being in a car, oh, that's actually checkmate. That's wild. Being in a car that long is difficult. Charge by. I think that probably is one of the other big benefits too of that remote work that you just said, to charge by the actual work that you get done. How productive you are is how much you get done. It's obviously depending on the job field. You know, my job is salary, so in essence it's hourly, just by, you know, all the hours of the school year. And so there is like that security in that you know how much money that you're gonna get. So I guess that is the trade-off, because obviously like if you are paid by like per thing that you do and you're able to do more of them and be more productive or like get more stuff done at different times, you can make more money. But there's also like the stability of like I always will have this amount and it will steadily go up every year as I get raises, but it's consistent. But I definitely agree with the social aspect. When I so obviously my coworkers are kind of mostly kids in a sense, but even the other adults in the building, it's nice to be around other adults, because I generally don't like go places and stuff, and you kind of just have that, it's kind of weird to describe, but you kind of have that like shared experience of like you're, you know, all going through the same thing. Not that it's like a difficult thing per se, but like you have that common experience with all of the people that you work with, which is builds that, I mean, that friendship and that camaraderie, if I could even say that. So then why did you change if you were getting paid well and it was like efficient with your time? Or is it something that just didn't exist after a certain point? So I feel like even if, you know, you needed the social aspects, like the benefits of getting paid that much for, you know, doing 3 hours of work and charging what you normally make in 10, I feel like that's just that's a benefit you couldn't pass up. But what kind of writing did you do? That's interesting. I'll just go there. That's pretty dope, though. I guess they can have that one. Contract issues. But that's, I mean, that's pretty cool. I would say it's probably not the most exciting work, but I mean, there's always going to be contracts and stuff. And you're always, you know, there always will need people to be writing that kind of stuff. So that is, it's a pretty cool gig, though. But yeah, like I can't imagine though for teaching when we had to do remote during COVID, like surviving mentally. I felt so weird during that time, just trying to not go crazy, just being cooped up in my house all day. And I wasn't even, I had roommates at that time, so I wasn't even alone. But like, I don't think he really struggled. Maybe he did. I haven't really, you know, asked him specifically about it. But like when you're just kind of cooped up all day, I don't know. I never get that feeling. Like I never now ever feel cooped up like that. But it just had that weird feeling of like I just need to leave and just do something. And it's just, it was certainly not a enjoyable time. It's very weirdly stressful. It wasn't stressful, but it was at the same time. But yeah, and I mean, like having experience writing contracts as well, it's got to be like extremely transferable. I mean, obviously, like for the field that you did it in, if you had like a, you know, certain business or a certain field that you were writing contracts for. I'm getting cooked in this game. Yes, one. That's all ogre for me. Well, that's a pretty cool gig to get into. I mean, it's and they did some work on the website and stuff. So then, yeah, Mercedes was doing 3 hours of work. Or wait, do you write? So hold on, maybe I read that wrong. I was doing 3 hours contract. Oh, so the contract issues are why you had to leave that job, but you wrote for tourism travel. Okay, I read that all wrong. I thought you were writing contracts. That is, yeah, that's a huge benefit too. And plus, like, if you're working like a job that's paying you really well and you can, you know, finish your schooling as well, that's a huge benefit to that, especially when you're in college, because you are going to be, you know, obviously you can't really work a full day when you're in college because you have classes, even if it's not all day long. So then was your degree in college in, like, I don't even know, like creative writing? Like, I don't, it's a very interesting job to get, that you actually like make enough for it to be a job. And I feel like a lot of writing now is just, it's hard to make any money off any writing because nobody reads. Nobody knows how to read anymore. read and be hard. Clearly, by my lack of comprehension, I'm thinking you're writing contracts and stuff. Evidence of the problem. That's really cool. So then if you're not writing for that tourism thing anymore, what kind of stuff do you do now that you're in an office? Watch you actually say it's actually contract writing now. it's actually write contracts now. See, it sounds like you have all the skills and stuff that I don't have. I have no right. My writing skills are certainly sufficient, but they're not. I don't have any creative writing skills it's very difficult for me, I should say, to be very good at that kind of writing. I think we attack there. I don't know. I used to really struggle at non-literal writing when I was in high school and even in college, but I got a lot better at just, I don't say creatively writing. I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, I can write fiction, but writing so it's interesting for others to read, even if you're writing something that's more normal, if that makes sense. But my professor in schools in college is really good about that, about helping that writing just to add life to it. I don't know. That's where it's writing became, it's hard to explain how it got better, but it was just the quality of, if I was telling you about my day, I got better at writing stuff like that. I never was really expected in education, especially, to creatively write necessarily. Writing product descriptions, website, nothing exciting as I didn't. And that kind of writing, is that actually a full-time thing that you can do? You make enough for the bills? It's crazy. You tell kids hey, writing's actually worth it, guys. You can actually make a living writing, because that makes sense that somebody would need to do that job, because you can use Chat GPT and all that stuff now, but I mean, it's you still want the quality control of someone that can actually write something, especially if you need it to be not necessarily super technical, but you want it to be correct. You want have the random descriptions that some Chinese products randomly have, because they're either Chat GPT or poorly translated. But if you have the the skills to write really technically for products and stuff, that's a skill in itself. So I think fantasy or fiction writing is a completely different, it's almost, it's hard exactly, I don't know exactly what I'm trying to describe it, but I feel it's less about the actual writing, having that skill, but more of your ability to develop a story. I would say a good fiction writer isn't necessarily someone that can technically write the best. Obviously that would help if you have that skill as well, but if you're able to kind of contextualize a story, those are generally, I would say, the better books. Watership Down, I don't know if you've ever heard of that book, but that guy essentially wrote the stories by telling stories to his children on car rides, so he never really planned on writing them per se, but just being able to tell stories well allows you to have that better conception of what you want to create with your writing. But having the necessity of technical writing like that for products and stuff is really interesting. So then is your goal then, as you build a client base, that you develop your thing that's almost you kind of create your own full-time job, or is it somewhere where eventually a big company is we have like Walmart's, like we have all of these products that we need descriptions for. We need someone to do it full time. Because I feel like for a large company that has like a huge amount of products, that would be a really important thing for them to have a consistent thing for them. I'm cooked. But yeah, I'd imagine like freelance stuff is extremely stressful. I know with I guess in a sense I was more in a freelance type way when I'd umpire baseball, and it wasn't necessarily like I was 100% freelancer, but you got to pick and choose when you got to work, which is ideal because I was playing baseball at that time, so it was kind of important. But like I couldn't imagine that being like, all right, this is your job and you have to depend on there being games and you having the pick of a game and all of that stuff. And plus when you're a freelancer, you have to figure out insurances and all of that stuff on top of it. The fun part, he's wasting a ton of time, but you have to figure out all of that, the stuff that you have. Oh, what? That would be the part that I would not like, is like figuring out your insurance and all of the stressful stuff like that. Whew. That's pretty cool though. I don't want to say it's a very niche job, but that's not one I'd be like thinking about existing, but it's very logical that it would be something that companies would need. I don't want to say like it would be a job that would be necessarily like super easy, but once you know how to like obviously like write general product descriptions, I feel like it's a pretty easily transferable skills to any sort of I suppose like with super technical products it could be difficult. I guess I'm thinking more like general consumer commercial products. Like if you're writing a description for toothpaste, it's probably not prohibitively difficult, but if you had to write something that was like for a airplane part, like might be a little bit more difficult. All right, so he has not much time. It might be checkmate though, right? Hold up. Oh, I survived. That was too easy. Too easy. But it is like I mean, and it's interesting. Do you do it like mostly remotely now? I feel like you wouldn't never, like if you're taking on a lot of different clients, I feel like you wouldn't need to ever be in an office necessarily. Obviously, like if you have to go and meet and like present, I guess, what you have written or whatever. But I don't know. I feel like that's a weird thing because it is something that like every person that buys something is going to do is like read the product, even for basic information of like how many items are in the thing, like very like surface level stuff, but like stuff that if it's inaccurate or written poorly, like it's just not gonna sell. Like it's like if a toilet paper said like it just had a typo and it said it has 31 rolls instead of 32, like that's going to be a major financial problem for the company to deal with, that because everyone's going to be obviously complaining or like having issues with that. But That's really convenient, though. So then are you trying to save up to get a house of some sort, or do you, I don't know what kind of size city you live in. I know some people like the hustle and bustle of a large city. I think that would drive me, I think I would actually go insane if I did, but some people are psychopaths like that. Some people like other people. Can't be me. But, oh, Canada. Everything in Canada is too expensive, though. And if you live in Canada, I don't know if you're ever getting a house. I've seen the housing prices there. I'm sorry about your luck, because I know Canada is like, America house prices are bad, but like Canada's are on another level. It's kind of insane how expensive they actually are. So you're in school still right now with your job? Where's the what's the part of Canada where they all speak French? I'm gonna quiz you on Canada. Are you even a real Canuck, eh? I also don't know where Edmonton's fine. Yeah, but like I feel like all of Canada is a little jacked up. Like I feel like it's like housing prices in Ohio aren't as bad as California, but when you're comparing it to like it's America in general, then it's still prohibitively expensive. I don't know though. Maybe Edmonton's better. Is that I don't know much about Canadian um what you call it geography 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 literacy problem manifest. I know camping with Steve. I know he's in Canada a lot, driving around, um, or camping around in those different places. But he just resigns. He just hit us with the resign. Mm. I think that's what like it was Alberta, the place in Canada where they were talking about like succeeding from Canada. Not that that would like actually happen, but like they were trying, or at least they're more conservative. So I feel like the places that are not by the coast, very similar to like how the United States is structured, would be more like the Midwest in the United States, to where they're generally more conservative for the most part, and then the coast are more liberal. But you kind of have more of the, I mean, obviously, like a lot of the liberal policies probably not be good for a lot of stuff, but you just have a lot of, it's just more expensive in a lot of ways, whether it's from a policy standpoint or just a, um, what you call it, just because everyone wants to live there. It's kind of the catch-22 with like California is like, yeah, it's poorly run, but like it's always gonna be hyper expensive to live there because everyone wants to live there. There's not a single person that would be like, oh yeah, California weather, that's, couldn't imagine dealing with sunny warm weather year round. Oh, that would be so terrible. It's literally just the actual government, and I mean the prices. I saw some dude driving around there when the protests were happening for like the immigration stuff, and the gas prices were like $5 or $6, and it's like double what it is in my state. And it just like blows my mind that it could be that like people could just exist, but the prices are just ridiculous in a place like that. Redunculous, as they would say. But let's schedule this one. Yeah. Well, and that's what's weird too, is like yeah, you guys have to use the metric. You guys don't use freedom units. You call it petrol. Let's look up average gas price in Edmonton. That's giving me Edmonton, Alabama. It's probably a little cheaper in Alabama than Canada. All right, so this is not data that's very useful for me. It says 154 cents per liter. That means literally nothing to me. I need, you know what I actually need to use, so let's go here. This is where ChatGPT comes in really useful, because you go to it and be like, all right, let ChatGPT figure it out. Get it. Oh, that's good. I was actually so it was a weird phenomenon happening up at my parents' house. So currently gas is, and now that I have ChatGPT to convert these values for us, so national average of Canada. All right, so your gas, at least as of June 30th, is more expensive, but not extremely. So it says the conversion from so it's about $1.321 per liter in Canada in USD, so in freedom dollars, that'd be $4.43 per gallon. So gas up the street for me is $2.69 per gallon. So national average of gas is $3.16 in the US. So compared to like our average gas price in the whole US is $3.16, which would convert to about 84 cents per liter. But bottom line, so basically it says Canada pays $4.43 per gallon, US pays $3.16. So I mean, it's not, and that's like across all of the United States, I would assume, because like if I go to average gas price in Ohio, because even like down here, it was like $2.69, like right by my house. But up at my parents, they actually built a new gas station in the city I grew up in, and they had their gas like 50 cents cheaper. What's the gas price in Alberta? Because we can compare those prices as well. But the gas that was up by my parents' house, like everything was 40 cents cheaper than what it was down here in the same state, which is very rare. Usually at most it's like a 10-cent spread, maybe like 20 cents. But it was like 40, 50 cents in these different places. But I guess because they built a new gas station, that gas station came in and just put 50 cents lower than everyone else, and all the other gas stations lowered their prices a ton as a result. So like gas, and it's just purely in the city I grew up in, which isn't that large of a city, because I drove to the gym, that gym I trained at today, and the gas prices were normal. They're almost exactly the same as what they are down here. It's literally just in that city, which is kind of funny, but eventually they'll normalize to other places. But Alberta, so let's look up average gas price in Alberta, Canada, because I did Edmonton. All right. So like this website, it gives data, but I need, there we go. So we have Costco in Alberta is 111, I guess like 112 cents for regular. So let's see what that compares in freedom units. So then your gas, at least according to his website, is like 309. So it's like 30 cents more. So I mean, like, that's definitely within like the, so 134 to 140. Well, you need to go to this Costco. It's only 112 there. But if you're having, so you said 130. Oh, I just bought 130, I bought 134. So that'd be like 362. So let's just put 135. ChatGPT is really, this is where ChatGPT becomes really clutch, because they can do all these like conversion stuff. It's just basic math and it be accurate for the most part. So it looks like your average in freedom would be $3.76 USD per gallon, which is more, of course, like it's $1 more than what I pay. Yeah, and if you're doing stuff like getting rid of the carbon tax and stuff like that, that's going to help a lot. And I know in the US, one of the things that was in that big bill that just passed by Trump was that they're going to have more gas drilling in the United States, which this is kind of a weird thing that happened. So when I was in college, it was, I think, 2014 or 2015. It might have even been before that, but gas went down to $1.50 a gallon. So let's see what that would be in Canadian units. So for no, it's okay, so it did it. So back in 2014, around that time, I was in college. I remember seeing it. It had dropped down to this randomly. It was, let's look at the Canadian. So it was 54 cents Canadian per liter for a gallon of gas. California prices are extreme. I'll pull that up here in a second, because that's, you are paying a lot less in California. Like, I think probably the most expensive gas price in the United States anywhere is technically probably Hawaii, but a lot of their prices are because of the location that they're at, just being so far away from everything. Well, I'll look those up here in a second. So $1.50 for gas, so like 54 cents per liter or whatever in Canadian dollars, in Canadian money, in Canuck bucks. Canuck bucks, that's what they should be called. That happened when I was in college, but that was also when I was a wee lad in elementary school. See, the gas prices, they were that low, and then they steadily like went up a ton, but then they went down to that point for a little bit, and then they did it again during Trump's first election. They had gotten under $2 again. So for us, if they get under $2, that's usually like a really good price. So like right now, they're not too bad. If they sit around $2.50, it's when they get above $3, that's when it becomes It's never been prohibitively expensive because in America it's not you're not going to walk anywhere. Like I can't walk to work. I have to drive, even if it was $10 a gallon. The prices of gas in California. But yeah, it's not prohibitively expensive. It would take a lot to get up to there. So in California, regular is $4.59 per gallon. So I'll convert that to Canadian dollars, to Canuck bucks. So in Canadian money, that would be, so it's $4.56 per gallon. It would be 164 cents per liter for Canadians. So a little bit more than what you're paying, or a lot. I don't know if 20 cents is a big spread to have anything. That's, I mean, Canuck bucks. It flows off the tongue. I personally would like to have some Canuck bucks, but well, and Alberta has all the gas, so they want to make their own country because they have all the fuel. But yeah, what's weird with America too is like we have a lot of gas existing in America, so it's not as if we can't get our own gas. It's kind of like Canada has a lot of gas itself. So it's like a lot of the problems with gas prices aren't really related to the availability of gas itself. It's the lack of willpower of a government to like, all right, we're going to get gas. We're going to go and get it and make it cheaper. Because really expensive gas, all it does is tax poor people for no reason. Like it's when there's no, like if there is actual scarcity, then okay, whatever, that makes sense. Like if there's an egg shortage because there's a bunch of diseases in eggs, but Canuck bucks aren't worth it. I could tell when I'm doing those conversions, they're not worth much. Yeah. Well, and that's like that's the thing with all these, like you don't really hear Trump talking about that anymore, but it's just such like a goofy thing for him to suggest is like we're gonna take Canada and like I don't know how that would work, and it just seems like I don't think America would want Canada because even the most conservative province in Canada wouldn't really be that conservative for like America standards. So like you would be essentially making another Democrat. You would just make another Democrat state, but also like I don't know why we would need to do that to Canada. But also at the same time, I thought it was really smart. He's like kind of bullying the country to get a better trade deal because it's like yeah, like why would we let why would we not just bully Canada to get that? Like we are kind of like your free military, so it's like it kind of makes sense why we would just be getting the best possible deal. Like everything that we do with another country in North America, like it should 100% be to our benefit because like why wouldn't it be if we are literally help like we are the reason that Canada and Mexico like generally are like they're not like Mexico's not generally safe, I guess, but it's not like going to be invaded by another country, if that makes sense. And Canada's extremely safe. We're your safety blanket, so you're welcome for that. Nobody's gonna attack Canada. America won't stand for that unless it's a polar bear or something. But I guess you guys kind of have a natural border. Like, obviously, you have America, which is like the best border that you can have. But it's not like people are going to come from the north. There's no way to get down from there. But yeah, Canada's like an interesting thing in that regard. It's certainly run better than Mexico is right now. But it's very interesting because like in terms of like size of the economy, it's America is so much larger than Canada. They're like our little brother in a sense. But yeah, I mean like nobody's gonna invade from the north. Like nobody can get up there, or nobody lives up there anyway. But they have to get through all that tundra. It, it's nice with I'm trying to say. I'm rambling. Rambling. I be a rambler. I do need to order groceries. I'm out of milk. But what's going on with your guys is like I don't think you guys like have a president like we have, but I don't know, like Justin Trudeau was the head honcho. I think he said he was going to resign. So do you guys have like a new person yet, or are you guys still trying to figure that out? I guess gas. Whew. Gas is a little bit more expensive in Hawaii, but not too much. Too much more so than California. Although California should be cheap, it's a lot easier to get stuff to California than Hawaii, so there's no reason Hawaii should have similar gas prices to California. That's just poorly run government in a lot of ways. Well, like a house like mine in California would probably be double the price as far as house prices go. It's kind of crazy how expensive they can be. Really strong economic sense. Well, the big question is, did he ever do blackface when he was a kid? Because I feel like that's, you know, I feel like my president, I feel like our president shouldn't be doing blackface at any. I don't know. That's such a crazy thing to see that he did, like a blatant one. Well, unfortunately, I don't think politicians are very good at fixing much of anything. But if he's a more sensible person, that's probably good. I'm not too familiar about the in and outs of Canadian politics. Who was the person running against him? I feel like I saw stuff with the conservative guy more so. So I feel like the liberal guy that won was just like I don't think necessarily bad per se, but like it was just a generic. He's like the great value of politicians. You know, I don't know. I mean, truly, like, although, like, to be fair, Trump, like, here's how I look at it with the Trump stuff and like Epstein, like any sort of like controversial thing that Trump potentially, Epstein Island or any of that stuff, because of how much people dislike him and want to find that dirt on him. Like if he was doing stuff on Epstein's Island, if he had like really big controversy, like if there was dirt to dig up, these people that hate him beyond, that have that derangement syndrome beyond any reasonable doubt, they would find that dirt and have shared it. And so I'm honestly surprised that there hasn't been more like dirt and negative stuff that has been found with Trump, just because he's been a rich guy in public life forever, and you kind of feel like those people are just generally immoral in a lot of ways. But weirdly enough, there hasn't been like, here is the big thing. Pierre, okay, I have seen him. Yeah. Well, and I think that's probably why Justin decided not to rerun. Like it kind of weakened that guy's case, and I think Justin was probably getting pretty unpopular at that point as well. So it's probably politically expedient for him to not be in there. Yeah. That's kind of a weird thing too, because like you would think that Trump would be really for a guy that's like generally conservative. I know like Pierre probably isn't even like a super conservative person for like America standards, but to have someone that would be more aligned with his politics would be beneficial, and not to just crap on the Canadians, crap on the Canucks. Um, ooh, not good. Is a problem. Is a problem. Is big problem. But I'm glad in a while. Canada's kind of weird too, because like you don't really have like states like we do in the United States. So I don't know how elections necessarily work. It's confusing enough in the United States, but yeah, the whole Trump thing when he was just like saying, "Oh, I want to take Canada" and stuff like that, it was just so bizarre to me. It's just like, why? Like, it's just nothing against Canada, but it's like, why would we want to add another country? It's like adding Mexico. It's like, I guess as far as having more land, like, and even if like everyone agreed to it, it's like, I guess having more land would be good, but like, it doesn't make any sense to want to do that. Canada's fine, but they don't want a Canada. More Canada, more problems, you know? Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't really trust politicians as far as I can throw them. I think like a lot of problems Canada has with like pricing of houses and stuff like that. Like I don't know how much you could ever really fix that. It's kind of like fixing California. It's like I think it's just always kind of going to be a problem. But I do think like the idea of deregulating various housing things to make there less like bureaucratic tape around it is probably the only thing the government can do to make housing a bit cheaper. Oh, I just lost. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. Interesting. Each district elects a representative from the 4 or 5 major parties represented federally. So then, is there multiple parties that are like, you know, the U.S. We just obviously have the two main parties that are elected most everywhere. Are there more Crown Core? Well, I think at least in America, the big problem with housing is that it is um, a lot of houses are bought by people that aren't people. They're bought by corporations and then they're rented out. I think, and this is maybe too tyrannical, but I think if you just outlawed that, like corporations buying huge swaths of just normal like real estate, that would help a lot of the issues because it would increase the supply so normal people could actually buy houses. Because it's the easiest way to create generational wealth if you're able to buy a house, and that's kind of the American dream. And I assume it's like the dream for most people in most places is to have your own place and to build equity in that place through that purchase. And at least now in America, like I could afford the house I live in now, kind of, but like it would be extremely difficult. It wouldn't be necessary. It would be pretty close to impossible at my current salary and just current existence. And I think that's just kind of messed up because, like, if I was a first year teacher on my first year teacher salary, like, I couldn't buy the house I live at now. I'd only be able to do it now with my current salary, and that's not realistic because you're not going to start with your salary that you have in year 10. So it's a very weird time as far as housing stuff goes. I think it will be a bubble that crashes down. Because eventually, I mean, rent can't outpace what people actually make in salary. Otherwise, people just can't afford rent. But modular homes, I think that's, getting little small homes like that is nice. But it's kind of the thing too, is like people don't really dream of like, I want to own a modular, like I want to own this little tiny home. But if you don't have a choice, like if there's no other possible way for you to afford a home, then that might just be what you have to do. But I think a lot of people would prefer to have like a normal house, and that's hard for people to be able to actually afford, because I think that's kind of the dream. Like a modular home, if you're just a single guy and you need a place to live, like just to have a place that's not the street, like I think that's fine. But even apartments are like hyper expensive. My rent when I stayed in an apartment when I first moved down here was $780 a month, and that was like on the higher end of apartments. And now that same apartment's like $1,300 or $1,100, like it's over $1,000, which is actually a good idea. Well, I mean, if they're not selling the corporations, you kind of hope that would be helpful, but I just don't trust the government as far as I could throw it to be able to competently do something like that. Because you could build a modular home or build the small houses, but I mean, you can call it a starter home, but like, can you ever afford to move out of that to buy a larger place? And it's hard to say if you would. I mean, having more places to live is better for just the market, obviously. But it's one of those tricky things. Like, I don't know if that fixes the problem, because people, people are going to buy a modular home like that, but then they're not going to ever be able, like, it's going to be considered a starter home, but then people are never going to be able to afford to move out of those. So then it just becomes their home. That's kind of like what my house is now. It's not necessarily like it is in all intents and purposes a starter home, but I can't afford to just go to a larger house even if I make more money. My salary has gone up significantly since I started teaching, but my buying power for a new house has not correlated with that whatsoever. And I was very lucky. I bought a house in 2017. My house was half the price that it is now then. My mortgage rate is 2.75%, which is extremely low, and it was only like that because it was really low under Trump's first election. I was able to refinance, and my rate was like 4% prior to it. Was already low before that, but like now it's like 7% or something. Hopefully they are. I mean, like I said, having more places to live, like more options, is always going to be better. But modular Canada. Let's see if the modular homes, what they look like. All right, we're going to Canada. Oh, so they're almost like a mobile home that are just like pre-made that they drive to the different places. But I assume because I assume the modular means that they're like they're almost like pre-packaged, like they go together really fast. That's why they're cheaper. So let's look at the 390 square foot, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, bungalow style, and see what that. I wish I could see the price. All right, Chat GPT. How much are modular homes? We'll see how affordable they really are. All right, so an entry level or a single section home can start as low as $40,000. And I'm asking them to tell me in America units. All right, so a tiny basic modular home is 80,000 Canadian, so 58,000 USD, which if it's actually that price, that's actually really good. Because my house was 75 USD when I bought it, and now it's double that price. But like a tiny modular basic home, I think that would be, you know, what like a single person would want. But like obviously the bigger houses, it doesn't seem too bad as far as the cost goes, which is kind of interesting to see. Sears home, yeah. Imagine back then you just look up a home and you just build it yourself. That is still a wild concept to think that like people could just do that back then. They're just like just order a house. You're just like, here's all the parts, you build it. Those had to have been, I mean, like in theory that's a good idea, but you still want like an actual engineer to build those buildings, because like I can't imagine like trusting that like you or I could put together one of those houses. I just looked on ChatGPT about modular homes. um, I can't believe it didn't take there. Well, I was looking up like the prices for them, because like I'm sure there's companies that currently do that sort of thing. Man, I'm just getting cooked in all these games. But yeah, but the company that I saw, I guess was Green. Well, I don't know. There's a couple different companies. ChatGPT looked around. So is that in 100 to 400,000 in Canadian units in Canuck bucks? So I assume it's like half that price. So then that would be 73 to 292. So that's pretty comparable to like a house now. These ones be built into a plot of land. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think that they'll get it that cheap. I think that I think the building itself will be that cheap, but I think there'll probably be taxes and stuff to get like various approvals for the land that you'll have to get that will increase that price. I don't know by how much, but I mean if it was truly 75 to 290 as far as in USD, I think that would be much more affordable for people. But also like if I don't know, it's a weird thing because if it is truly limited to also people, only people buying it and not like corporations, then that would be super helpful for average people. But then what would happen if I bought that house and then I wanted to sell it to a corporation? Am I not allowed to? Or me as an individual, can I buy multiples of those? Because I feel like you're going to have individuals that just purchase multiples of those that already have the finances. Like if my house is worth, oh yeah, like getting the permit, like all the permits and stuff. I feel like that would be like the, I don't know. I feel like if you're like 75 and then you have to get permits and approval and you actually have to buy the land that you're using and all that stuff, I feel like it starts to, like, there's a lot of hidden costs that are in there. Because for me, like 75 was like a really good deal for the house that I have now, but like that price doesn't exist for houses like anymore. Well, I mean, if it's a government doing it, are they going to do it efficiently enough for it to be worth it? I feel like they would just do it too slow. I'd be really hesitant to trust the government to actually be efficient enough to complete a task like that. I suppose in theory it would be good, but I don't know. It would be interesting if that sort of thing is able to actually happen. Because I just I find it hard to believe that they would be able to organize that and actually get it done. You kind of hope they would. I mean, it would be good for people to be able to actually afford a house, but I'm pretty skeptical. Yeah, but like the even if it's a modular home, like the ability for the permits and to get to find the land, and I feel like they're going to run into problems. Like I think you could get the actual house and have the structure, but like to get the land and the water and the approval and the communities and then the taxes of the house, like all the stuff on top of that, not even just like a Canada problem. It's a problem with houses in general. Um, oh, he just gave me that. But like I feel like that's where the issues are going to come in, is all of the bureaucratic tape that happens, because that's a problem even now in the US. Is it's there's a lot of red tape that you have to go through in building a house, but also a lot of new construction are townhomes and rentals. Because like then if you have a modular home yourself, like the government would have to regulate if you're able to rent it or not, because then what people would do is buy a house for themselves, buy an additional house, and then rent that, and then you would suddenly have people that are you'd have mini corporations in a sense. So I don't know, do you like prevent people from renting or from owning multiple? But like if you think about that, Tate, though, like so if I own one of these modular homes, am I allowed to sell it to a corporation, or am I allowed to rent it out? Am I allowed to do like Airbnb or just rent it in general? Like that's where I'd be concerned, is like, you buy a house and you want to live in it, and that's great, but then it's suddenly none of those houses are available because I bought a house and I rent one of them, I live in one, and every time I rent and I can save up, I just buy another one. But even if they're promised, that's where I think the issue is going to start to happen, is like even if they're promised to the public, like I feel like people are gonna try to make money off of it, obviously, and it's going to be in a way that's like takes advantage of that. Like if they're cheap and they're affordable, like I'm just thinking of like myself, I would love to buy one of those and rent it. Like even if you already own a house. So I don't know how much that helps like average people trying to buy a house, if people are just going to take advantage of the fact that they're cheap and just get one. But like, here's the thing: you can look down on it, but like, are people going to do it? Because like, even if it's like an immoral thing to do, people are going to do it if they can make a lot of money from it. But like, even if you're a first-time home buyer, like I'm just thinking of all of the loopholes that you could get through by like your first. Let's say that you like someone comes up to you, to Mr. Tate, and says, "I see you're a first-time home buyer. We are going to buy you this house. You just have to, rent. You could live here. Whatever. Like, I feel like they're going to take advantage of the fact that people are desperate for houses and buy people houses that need them. I think I just kind of win this." Oh, cool. But even so, what I'm arguing is that if there's if there aren't direct safeguards in place, because that's a problem with housing now, is that there's a lot of like corporations and housing companies that buy up houses when they go for sale, no matter what the price is, because houses always go up in price over time. They appreciate in value, and with that appreciation, you have oh, Mrs. Tate, sorry. I've only ever known boy Tates. Sorry, Mrs. Tate. So the idea of increasing the supply. Yeah, but like, and I agree that like if you increase the supply in a vacuum, like that should bring down prices in general. And if it's not bought, because like that's a problem with houses now in America, is that they become available, but they're so expensive. And then there's a corporation or a rental company that comes in and buys it because they're willing to pay a person. Yeah, I had a first grader, his name was Tate. He was a crazy guy. But it is a very like common, it's actually a relatively common name here, but it's not, it's weird because it sounds like it's a nickname. But whatchamacallit? But like I've even seen it in the neighborhood that I live in now. Like the houses that I live around should be starter homes. They're 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, 1 floor, smaller houses. Like those are they're designed in a sense to be like good starter homes to get people in. But they have doubled in price, and so it's just, unless you have an extremely good paying, because it's like if I wanted to buy a nicer house similar to like what my friends just moved into, that's like 350, and what's that in Canuck bucks, but like in 350, Z2 CSD, so that their house was I just want to know. Oh, 476,000 Canadian bucks. So like that was their house that they bought, and that's a lot nicer of a house, but like that house cost as much as my house when I bought my house. So their house, by the time, they were able to afford it or whatever, had doubled from even. And like housing, and that's what's weird too, is like houses will always go up in price perpetually. It's why it's such a good thing to buy one, and that's why it's a good way to build generational wealth. But the problem that you have with that is that once it's exponentially going up, then first-time home buyers can't buy it, and that creates problems in the economy, because it's a way for people who are getting into the economy, that are getting their first jobs, saving up that money to buy that and build equity into their own thing. Because it creates, when you have a mortgage, that creates money for the economy. It stimulates the economy when people are able to buy houses. And it's but it's not like if you're a company that's building houses, they don't want to build houses and just sell them to people, because then they only make money when that one time, versus like townhomes, which is, they're just all over the place. I don't know how you could legislate against townhomes, but yeah, the modular home idea, you would hope in theory that it would be regulated in a way that would allow people not to just take advantage of the system, because you would have to have such good safeguards in place to prevent that from happening. Because there's just so many ways where that could go awry, with people just taking advantage of if there's a cheap house to buy it. And I mean, even like people now, if there's a house that you can flip and you can buy it, and then suddenly it's like you have free rental income here. I don't know. Like rent itself is like, I don't want to say it's like an immoral thing, but it's a tricky thing to navigate in a world because it makes things harder for everyone when a lot of your money is going to rent. Buy 6 something to get the seventh free. The Carney castles. I don't know if he'll be able to. Yeah, I would be really so if he is able to like if the plan is successful and there's like cheap housing and they're like all over the place, then that'd be like a Nobel Peace Prize type thing. Because even like in the state I live in, there's enough lands that exists. Like you can build stuff, but I think it's a lack of willingness on companies. So having that potential company, or like if it's like the government doing it itself, but then you also have to account for like taxes and everything that are going to make it more expensive for everyone. I don't know. It's a tricky thing, but making a modular homes does sound interesting in some aspects for sure. Schnikes. Jinkies. Ruh-roh. Oh. Ooh. No way. Oh! I thought my bro really gave me a queen. That he really be giving me the queen. Man, I'm cooked. I'm cooked. I'm big cooked Reno. Oh! How about that check though? How about I give you the check? Ooh, got me. Your check, please. I'll be very curious though in a couple of years to see if there's anything that comes of the modular home and that kind of stuff. My prediction is that not that it will necessarily fail, but nothing will come of it in a sense. It's kind of like politicians like we're going to bring housing prices down. Like my guess is that it's just not. I think that's the easiest prediction to make, the least fun one, but it's probably the most likely one. Like cheaper houses would help average people, and that's not what politicians are all about. Be nice if they were. Oh Nelly. Whoa, mama. Yeah. I think finding the land's always going to be the most. Like, obviously, the modular homes, it makes the actual construction of the home a little bit easier and faster. But I think the part that they're going to struggle with is finding the land and finding people. Like, obviously, you said they already have the land, but I'm just thinking of even outside of that, if it was really successful for those specific little plots, then just to continue to build upon that. Get the way. Get the way. Shoo. Shoo. This will be interesting. It'll be very interesting. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that, but yeah, the actual labor, as people are going to want to be paid quite well for that, and if it's on a large scale, I mean, you would think the construction would be a lot cheaper in general if they're, more easily built, but yeah, they're going to really struggle with finding people that actually want to do that labor, are able to do that labor, and then to continually pay people to do that, because yeah, that is a really good point. It's hard to find people to do that stuff. Just build your own home. Just make it like the Sears catalog, like you said. They just send you all the equipment and you just build it yourself. Easiest thing you could do. I'm sure there'll be no problems with a bunch of people building their own houses. But I think yeah, like securing the land and then securing the labor, and then all of the bureaucracy that is connected to that, that will truly be, I think, an insurmountable hurdle to get through. Well, maybe they fix housing and then we all have modular homes. That'd be pretty nice, but I mean, everyone to have a. It's weird too because it's like not everyone. The idea of even like rent. So like, the rent that I paid at my apartment I lived at is actually the same as what I pay on my mortgage. And I think trying to, I don't know how you do that in an economy, but trying to have a balance to where people who rent in an apartment are able to save up money to buy a house in general, or just to save money in general. Not even just, I mean, outside of like the housing thing. Like, if I lived in the apartment that I lived in when I first moved down here, like I would have hardly any savings, and it wouldn't matter. I wouldn't even be like, not even outside of like, oh, I can't afford a down payment. Like, I wouldn't have enough to just like save for just anything. All of my money would be going into rent, and I think that's the problem that a lot of people are having. It's not even like I can't afford a house. It's like I can't afford to live, and I need to have a roof over my head, and it's so extremely expensive. And like the new constructions that they're building are not cheap, like one person places. They are um, townhomes, which are great for families, but not great for like a Like if I left my house now and was like, I need to go and I need to go get like an apartment or something, it would be really difficult to do that. They're really expensive. It's like you need to have a commune to afford to live anywhere. Uh, er, er. Oh no. Oh no. A big life-size Lego set. Yeah, private companies definitely will, and I think there will be definitely like competition. Yeah, I mean like private companies in general are going to pay more than government jobs almost in any field anywhere. That will actually be like probably the biggest hurdle though, them just getting the actual people to do the labor. You have all the materials, you have the land, but then to get people to actually want to do it. Looking for work. Yeah. I think I just kind of win, don't I? But well, and it's tricky too because when you're thinking about even if it's modular homes and it's like generally simpler construction, like you don't need like advanced training to do it. You just need like actual people to do that labor. There is like unless you're paying really well, you're not going to have a lot of people that just desire to do that kind of job, and you have to pay people enough to like want to do that sort of thing. But I don't know. It's one of those tricky things. Like if the government was able to create like summer jobs for like college students that paid extremely well, that were like that, just like building houses and stuff like that, it would benefit society, but also give like college students the ability to make money, or just people in general to make money if you're doing that sort of thing. But construction is just not at any level and any sort. It's just not really a desirable job for a lot of people. They want jobs like what you have, working remote or working at a computer, like not doing things that are going to be physically taxing on the body, and fairly compensating people for that sort of labor is just going to be really difficult for them to figure out. But oh, that's pretty cool. Because I know for like America, you can find summer jobs and stuff, but it's more of kind of like what you find. Like when I was a camp counselor or umpired, like it's when I umpired, it was through the city that I lived in, so it was like a paid through the city, I suppose. But you wouldn't. I don't know. The United States government is kind of weird in that sense. Like it's such a large government that it would be almost kind of weird if there was like a U.S. government summer job, because that's just such a large amount. It would be much more likely to have obviously the city that you live in or the state, but just the sheer size of like it just is not a really feasible thing for the government to do in any capacity. Um, that is super helpful, especially because like there's so many you hear so many like stories of people who get jobs in the US now or like internships and they're just unpaid. And it's like you can't afford to not be paid even if it's an internship. And there are jobs that are kind of structured like that are actually done correctly. Like my friend's an engineer, and when he was in college he had they call it like a co-op job, but he worked at like a car plant, and you are essentially getting on the job experience. You're not a full-fledged, I guess, employee in some ways, but you get that on the job experience and you work in that job. And he kept getting more and more hours to where that job became a full-time job, and it became like now it's he's past the point where he would even need a college degree, and he's kind of like in his career now. And the that pathway, I mean, for like education, for some jobs, like, or like medicine, like there's some jobs where like that's just not going to be a thing that you can do. You know, work your way in and not like have a college degree and all of that stuff, and still be able to work in that field. But it's certainly something they can do with a lot more jobs. That is for sure. Yeah. Well, and companies, if they can afford not to pay, or if they have a way to not pay, then they certainly won't. But it's tricky here in the U.S. as well, because it's the when you start funding stuff like that, then it creates an increased tax burden, and it also means you have to trust the government to be efficient with how it spends its money. And I don't think you'd find almost anyone in any country anywhere that trusts their government to effectively spend their money, in any realm. I think that's probably a universal truth that most people don't trust the bureaucracy of the government to be efficient. And I think in some countries that are smaller and more homogenous, like a Denmark or Finland, where culturally and they're smaller, you can do a lot more of those like larger government programs and have it actually work, just because the society itself is a lot more homogenous and just not necessarily more efficient per se, but it's a lot smaller. So you can just do things. It's just easier. It's like running for the equipment like the United States to be like a program that Ohio does, um, versus the whole United States. You're just not going to find that. Oh, I can't go there. I cannot go there. But I don't know. Well, and I mean, we get into healthcare as well. I, the problem, healthcare is a huge, weird thing, because when you look at a lot of like UK or Canada, you have free healthcare, but the system is really slow, but it's free. And you have the United States where it's extremely expensive, especially if you don't have medical insurance, but it's efficient. Like you can get, if you have the money, you can get the medical care really quickly and really efficiently. But then if you don't have insurance, it's it's like crazy to try to get any sort of, services. And so it's a weird balancing act, because if I had a life-threatening illness, I would not want to be in the Canadian healthcare system, because I don't trust that I would actually get the healthcare services that I would need. But if like you need like basic services, like you need like your annual physical, or like someone, my one friend, or not really a friend, but someone I met today at the gym I went to, was talking about getting a sleep apnea test, and how it's going to cost him $275 to do. And like to me, it's like that shouldn't cost anyone any money to do, because that's just like an important preventative health service, that you can get. Um, and I don't know how to fix healthcare. Sorry to break it to you. Well, I mean, you can, if you can, I don't know, like in America, like the problem, I guess that would be the problem too in Canada. Like if you can only get public health care because of what you can afford, you're getting a worse product, so you're getting worse care. I can, and that's, I think, a misnomer in the United States. Like you can walk into any hospital and get medical care. It just, are in debt the rest of your life. And if you're, I think the issue with like Canadian healthcare is you may not be in debt from it, but it's going to be so slow and efficient if you're going through the public service method of it. Um, if you keep giving checks, okay, it goes over to there. No, you resign. Well, and like healthcare is really tricky as well because my job is teachers in general, especially in the state that I live in. Our healthcare is like teacher salaries relative to say like my friend's job is an engineer, like he makes a lot more money. A lot of the benefits with like teachers are based on like the benefits that you're able to get as far as like healthcare and dental and all of the stuff that comes with just being healthy, but also just obviously breaks and there's a lot of benefits outside of just salary. And for a lot of people, I mean, like if you're a freelancer, like you just don't have the ability in America to like you'd have to buy your own. You can buy your own health insurance, but obviously it's expensive. And um, I I think the probably the simplest way for most countries to fix the problem of healthcare. Well, the first thing that we would need to do anywhere is to prevent hospitals from because what happens with insurance, whether you have it or not, is you're charged a certain price, and if you have insurance, the insurance company will bill or the hospital will bill the insurance company like 10 times the price, and then the insurance company negotiates it down and blah blah blah. It's like a whole charade of like it didn't actually cost this much, but we're going to ask for this much because we know they're going to knock it down $900 from what it was and make the person only pay $100, or it's going to be here's $1,000 that it's originally going to cost, but the insurance negotiated it down to 100, and then the insurance pays that $100, and it's like, but if you don't have insurance, it's $1,000, and it's just if you're able to prevent stuff like that, then medical insurance actually becomes competitive in the market, because I think that's the problem now. It's like if you don't have insurance, it's not competitive to pay for it yourself. Like it's prohibitively expensive, and it makes kind of like a monopoly on insurance, and it's in a sense to where you have to have it, but then their only way they make money is if they don't pay for it. And preventing hospitals from, or really just like preventing that system of where you just overcharge because you can, or you want to, or you want to create, get more money from the insurance company or whatever. I think that's kind of the first step, but also having some sort of system to where it's just, I don't think people shouldn't just not pay for insurance and stuff. I think that's fine and dandy to pay for insurance or pay for like medical care, but it's when it's overcharged just to overcharge it where it becomes a bigger problem, to where people are taken advantage of, and then you have poor people that can't afford it, because like at some point someone has to pay for the medical care, whether it's the government or not. And I think it becomes difficult to I don't know what to do here. It becomes difficult to have like a public funded thing, because then every single hospital everywhere, let's say like in America, all healthcare is free. Well, every single hospital is going to be still trying to make as much of a profit as possible, to make as much money as possible. So that $1,000, I charge insurance $1,000, they're still going to do that. They're just going to be doing that from the government. So like the actual cost of the medical costs wouldn't go down for anything, because they would still be trying to get as much money from the government now instead of the insurance company as possible. And the government, I guess, could legislate that kind of stuff, but they don't have any sort of incentive. The people that are impacted by that sort of stuff have enough money to pay for any sort of medical care that they need. I don't know. It's an annoying system for sure, because at least in America we do have really good healthcare quality. Like the quality of the healthcare is really good. It's just so expensive for average people to get and to do. And if you have medical insurance, then it's affordable. Like I would only be worried about medical expenses, I suppose, if I had some sort of like extreme operation, but I think even then, like, my insurance would still be pretty good at covering it. But it's like something you shouldn't have to worry about. Like if you pay for medical insurance, I think if you legislate having like a guarantee that like you pay your premiums, it's covering all of your medical costs. And it's like, if you want to be an insurance company, you have to pay that cost. Like that's just part of being part of it. Like you can't deny, like an insurance company denying people that sort of stuff. I think if you strengthen it in that way, like you keep the same insurance system, but you legislate it to where if you have, like, if I got my leg chopped off and I had to get a surgery, like there's no world where they can deny it. If you pay your insurance premium, then all of that is like that would be why you would pay your premium, is like you would literally get it covered because you paid your insurance or whatever. But that's good. But like the denial of services, of medical services, like, oh, it's not necessary, or it didn't cost that much, or it's like, no, I think it should be. I mean, it's tricky too because like a hospital, like the insurance company would negotiate with a hospital to say like, no, it actually should cost this much or whatever with that. But like, I don't know. I know I can't figure out the health insurance problem. It's shocking. I should have all the answers for everything. If only I did. But I think there's a lot of corruption and monetary waste that is done in the medical field because they just can, just the way that insurance is structured now. So strengthening the ability for people to actually, pay for a service and get it, because I think that's the biggest scam, is like you buy medical insurance and it doesn't cover your needs. Like it just doesn't cover stuff. And if you had a system to where you were able to not necessarily guarantee that every single little thing would be covered, but it's like it's better regulated in the sense that where medical things are just covered at a higher rate, that would help more average people out. It would prevent a lot of issues that people have with medical expenses. It's kind of the same as like student loans are kind of a different animal though, when you think about like I just cooked in this game as well. Student loans are a different animal entirely, because you choose to get into student loan debt, and unfortunately the college proposition is slowly not really worth it for a lot of people now. You need a degree for a lot of things, but if you're going to go into hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to attain a degree, then it becomes not worth it. For like an education degree, you have to have it. If you want to be a teacher, it's required. That part I definitely agree with. Like ambulances and stuff, like if my leg is chopped off and I call an ambulance, like that literally shouldn't cost money. Like I think that's immoral, like I think that those people obviously should get paid money, but like that's to where not necessarily, and that's where it's tricky too, because like not every ambulance ride is like, as if someone's overdosing on drugs, or it's like it's some stupid reason, it's like that feels annoying to have to, that to be a part of like the cost, because someone made such a dumb choice. And it's not even like, oh, someone one time had a drug problem and they overdosed, it was a thing one time, but like it's when it's the third or fourth time and then they're always doing that. Because the way that our society is built is that well, people can, like, you can call, if you can't afford it, like the ambulance will still come and get you. And I don't know. Well, the problem with student debt here is that you can't, if you go bankrupt, and this is actually, I think, the biggest scam. So if you go bankrupt, you can't ever be absolved of your student debt. It stays with you no matter what. And I feel like that's the risk. So basically, for the people that are giving out the money, in a sense, they're getting free money, because it's like, well, it will never go away, even if that person goes into debt. And I think that probably the easiest way to fix the student loan issue is that you allow, like, if someone doesn't, or goes broke or whatever, then they don't pay back their student loans. Like if you go bankrupt, if the actual company that's giving out a loan gives out a bad loan, because it's like they made a bet that you're going to pay your loan back, that you're going to get a good job, and if you don't and you can't pay it back and you default on it, then that should penalize the companies that are giving out loans, because what that will cause is those companies to be more cautious about the loans they give out, which will then make them not want to give out loans for degrees that are in something that's not going to be able to get a job. And if you want to pay for a degree or you want a loan for a degree, then you'd have to pay at a higher interest. Like, it'd be riskier for them, so you'd have to pay a higher rate to get that loan. If you want something that's in like art and design that maybe is a really difficult area to get a job in, you can still get a loan in it, but you have to pay a lot more, versus if you are getting a degree in, say, education, since that's the easy one, since I do it, you're going to get a job in education almost assuredly, or have a high likelihood to get one, so it's less of a risk for that. Like, if the risk could be on the people giving out the loan, not on like, oh, you're in a life of debt and you can never get out because you were given a loan at 18 years old for $200,000 that you shouldn't have been. I think there should be more responsibility on the companies that are giving out the loans. It's a little tricky with that though, because sometimes like parents are co-signing with it, and there's a lot that can go into it. It's also tricky as well. It's like my parents used federal loans because they had really low interest to help pay for my college, even though they didn't necessarily, we didn't necessarily need it per se, but what it allowed was them to not pay all of that money right away for school. Darn it. I be losing. I don't think there are equality in all degrees. I think there are a lot of pointless degrees that don't have any benefit to society. But I also think there is a problem too with the, I don't necessarily know the correct term to describe it, but like an inflation of college degrees, to where so many people have college degrees, they inherently become less useful. Okay. They become inherently less useful because everyone has one. And a college degree, in the 70s or 80s was something that not most people didn't have, so it was really valuable back then. It was also a lot cheaper to get, even when you account for the differences of the amount of money. And it's hard to say, colleges often charge way too much for different, I don't know, colleges charge too much. There's too many like administrators and stuff, like the actual like whole price of it is too much, and then the loans are become prohibitively expensive for people to actually pay off, and it just kind of ruins it for everyone. Because I agree, like college is generally a good thing to do, and it helps make your society better, but when it's I guess we'll go there, when it's done in the way that it is now, it's actually very similar to like how medical stuff is now. Like, because they know kids are going to get loans, they're going to charge as much as they possibly can to make as much money as they possibly can. And you just, I don't know. I think if there was more competition, in the sense that like you didn't need a college degree to be successful, like how you said, like it's good to have access to education because it's a more educated populace. I think that's not necessarily incorrect or a negative thing, but is a plumber not educated? Is someone that gets a trade job not educated? And I think that's kind of the societal change that we need, is like trade jobs should be as valued as like a normal college degree, and it being something that is valuable in the sense that like they're not unintelligent. You speak to someone that works as an HVAC or a plumber, and they're very intelligent people, and they know a lot of stuff. Even like truck drivers, like you have trade jobs that there are a lot of fireworks going on that aren't traditionally like, you wouldn't say like, oh, this plumber had to go to school for 10 years to learn how to be a plumber or whatever, but you could argue that it's a valuable job, and having more people that have general skills like that is probably a good thing in society as well, versus just like people have a college degree in general. Like I would argue that if we were paying more people to, say, use the plumber example again, to have plumbing skills versus having like an art degree, you know, just not even like an art educate, just like a general, like this is just art, like it's just art history or something that's like really hard to get a job in. I would say as a society that's a lot more beneficial to have, you know, a plumber instead of that art history major. And not necessarily that nobody should be allowed to get an art history major degree or anything like that, but I think as societies we have to be able to have as much value. Like if that art history person, or like, not that necessarily seems like a bad degree to get if you want a job, but if you have something like that, that should be as invalid or as not valued as someone not having a degree at all, because not all bachelor's degrees that you get are equally valued. But I'm just saying that as like art hit, you know, something like there are degrees that are objectively not useful to society that people get. I just brought that up because I can't really think of another one off the top of my head, but I think it would be hard to argue that there aren't really useless degrees that they need. Um, yeah, but like, and then you could say, you know, generalize like a feminist history art degree or feminist, you know, there's a lot of like weird degrees that people get that are really niche and pointless unless you're going to be a college professor, which you could argue is not really that useful. Like if your only potential job that you can get is to work in a college, it's not really that useful. It's not really that like beneficial to society. Like you'd rather have plumbers and stuff, but like as a society, it's like if you told someone like I have a college degree, like there is a amount of like almost honor in something like that that's just been kind of ingrained in societies, that like that's always good to have a college degree. And I think the tides are slowly turning because college is so expensive that more people are valuing trade jobs more, just because you can actually afford to go to a trade school and get skills in that regard. And because it's like it's designed for a specific, like if you are going to a school for HVAC work, you are going to get a job in HVAC because that is what it's all built around. That it's like nursing nursing type positions. A lot of them are built like that. They're called associate degrees, and people will work to get those, and they work very similar to like a trade school thing, but just having that as an option for people, it's just not as valued by other people. It's just gonna let me checkmate them. All right. And I think that like you could make a system of student loans that you give out to be based on the degrees that you actually get. And it's hard to do that with 18-year-olds. And it's almost like if you had a college system where it's like the first 2 years are like general studies, and then you have, or maybe the first year is like really general studies, you get all of your basics done, and you have one kind of loan for that first year where it's really good rates because everyone is doing the same kind of basic stuff. And then as you get specialized in whatever degree that you decide to go into, you get different loan rates. And as a society, you could really push people. Like I personally think if you are going into the medical field, like you're going to get your like a medical doctor, you shouldn't have any student loan debt. Like you should just get all, as a society, it would be better if we had more doctors. So like creating a system to where it's like, if you are qualified to go through like the to get your medical license, stuff like that, should just be paid for. Like if you're good enough, you should just get paid for that. You shouldn't go into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt to be a doctor. because it's just, for a lot of people, that's prohibitive to do. They can't afford to go into all that debt, even if their payoff's really big at the end of it. And for like jobs that you really need, the government should be able to incentivize the interest loan, or you could have an interest-free loan. Like, you could do that for education, like any job that you need in a society. If like, then there are some like scholarships that are for teachers, that if you work in like a high needs district where you get a lot of your school paid for and stuff like that. But like, you could manipulate the system in such a beneficial ways where it's like, if you're on your doctorate track and you're going to work as a medical doctor, like there's certain things that are just like 100% you qualify for it, you're smart enough for it, you just get it paid for. It's like an education degree. Like, you could have a different loan rate for someone that's going into education, and you could even be specific in what kind of education, because like maybe you don't value a phys ed teacher degree as much as you do a special ed, because you need more special ed teachers. um, yeah, well, and that's a problem too, is like, universities, not that they profit too much, but it's similar to the medical field where they make insane margins because they can just charge whatever they want, because of the like belief that everyone has that you have to have a college degree to have like value in society. And they're banking on that, because it's like, well, yeah, you need a degree and you want it from this every university is prestigious in its own way, I suppose, but you want this or that. And yeah, I mean, like, i I think those loans, like if you could get them specific to degrees, I think it would make it a lot. I mean, I think for the companies giving out the loans, even if it was a government or a separate like company, would be more profitable if it was based on like it could be the potential profitability. Like, those could be like types of private loans that are really good interest rates for like an engineering degree, because they know when that person gets out, they're going to get a really good high paying job and have a really high likelihood of paying back that loan. You can get your feminist studies degree, but that interest rate is going to be a lot higher, because the likelihood of you getting a really good high paying job is a lot lower. So it's a lot more of a risk. It's kind of almost like a credit score. Like, if you have a really bad credit score, your interest rates for everything is just going to be a lot higher, because you're just riskier to give a loan to. And having that for different degrees, I think it would make student choices. You probably wouldn't have as many students giving yeah, that would be true, like having a system like that. I'm just kind of thinking of like in general, like interest rates. But yeah, like if you had an interest free loan, that would be like similar to a grant. But like, I think if you could incentivize that both in a public and private sense. So like, in a public funding sense, you want more doctors or maybe teachers. And even if like as a site, like that would probably be better if you have a larger pool of people that have educational degrees, nurses, engineer, like certain jobs that are just like, there's a lack of it in society that you need more of. That would be generally better to have. And then like the private loans could be based on like what would make them the most profit. Is it this physicist that's going to be working for this engine, this company making missiles or something like that? They're going to make tons of money. It's like that loan is like guaranteed to get paid back, and so it's like, we're going to pay for all of this schooling because that's a really good investment for us to get it paid back. But yeah, but the incentive structures are all messed up, because like you said, like people can change their degree 9 times, and they can be wishy-washy and stay in college for a bunch of years and stuff. And I think that's also like, there should be more ways in the United States. If you join the army, they will pay for your college 100%, so you can get any degree that you want for free if you are in the military. And I feel like there should be systems that allow you to do something besides be in the military to get a free college degree. um, but like, that option is always there for anyone. Like, you do not ever have to have any college debt technically if you just join the military. And I don't know how long you have to actually serve for, but there's a certain amount of time you have to serve with that. And what you call it, it's there. um, but you also can't change your degree 42 times in that. My brother experienced that. um, he was trying to figure that out with his life. I really wish. A friend said I was mogging in the gym. I don't think I was mogging. I didn't have wrist wraps on today, which was I was surprised that my wrists held up as much as they did. I'm just watching myself lift like a narcissist. And say, I don't know, Tate, if you follow me on Instagram, but you can see the lifts I did today. I mean, they're ugly. All my lifts are kind of ugly, but the sounds, that's what's hard to describe. Like one part of weightlifting I really like is just all the sounds of the plates moving and the wooden platform. Just like the sounds of the gym is just so aesthetic. The background noise. It's almost like it's my version of ASMR, which is that's kind of, I think, one thing that I will not compromise on if I ever became dictator of the world, is that ASMR would be life imprisonment if you did it, produced it, enjoyed it. There would be no mercy for ASMR. Yeah, the ambient noise. ASMR should be illegal. we need to put a stop to ASMR. And it doesn't matter whether anyone that would be the only form of tyranny that I would be approving of as dictator. Everything else I can kind of get a good job of fixing those things, but then I'd have one irrational, like, ASMR, it's illegal, can't do it, penalty, life imprisonment, no chance of parole. Yeah, and that's what's like, it's different too with like the acoustics of the gym I'm at. It's different than when I'm lifting out in the shed. The shed is weird because it's like soundproof in a way. Like it doesn't echo a lot, but like that echo is like it's like part of the aesthetic. It's hard to replicate. Yeah. ASMR should be like, I would fight a war over that. Like if Iran was producing ASMR, I totally agree with bombing them. Like that's, I don't feel strongly about a lot of things, but ASMR being illegal is definitely like, it's a non-negotiable. It infuriates me so irrationally, and I'd be very curious like why it, like, people enjoy it, and then like for other people it's not just like, oh, I don't like it, I don't prefer it. I get angry when I hear those noises. I get irrational rage. Like I'll like, sometimes I'll see it. Yeah, the cartel can wait. We have to get Ace. Fentanyl is not creating ASMR. Like if the cartel started creating ASMR content, then yes, we should carpet bomb them. But I'd be curious, like the actual like because it has to be something in the brain that like some people enjoy that noise. Because like you could also argue that like the ambient noise, like you're mentioning the cutting and the stuff in the art room, and talk about like the gym and the stuff, it's like for some people it's very like they probably either don't notice it or don't like it or don't care. But like ASMR is just like, I get angry even thinking about it. It just is just those noises. Someone in a mic just like tapping it. I just want to like, I'm not a violent person, but that like those sounds, seeing that makes me want to be violent. And I wish I could understand why, because it seems so irrational, but it seems so rational at the same time. Like just that visceral rage of like, that noise shouldn't exist. Oh my gosh. Because sometimes I'll flip through, I'll be on shorts or something. Someone does it on like a live stream. Oh, there's not much worse than that. But I'll see it on a shorter sometimes, and I just like, it's like seeing something that's gross. That's how I actually kind of look at it. It's it's just like if you saw a turd. It's actually a perfect example. Yeah. In like rain, or like when people are just like, I'm doing whatever to the mic, like it just ruins my life. Like it's I mean honestly, like if I committed a crime and the FBI wanted to torture me, they would just play ASMR sounds for just like 20 minutes. I would just get like I would tell them I would just make up information. I would be telling them anything. You just lock me in a room and play ASMR noises, I'd be done. That would be it. I wouldn't be able to handle it. I would checkmate. I'm done. You win. Like medieval torture, like yeah, you know, getting all your limbs ripped off your body wouldn't be bad. But imagine being tied up and having to listen to ASMR noises for all eternity. Like, set me on fire, please. Do not do ASMR noises. I cannot handle it. But do the mouth noises. Oh my gosh. I can almost get the materials because like you mentioned rain and stuff. I can almost empathize like if you hear like tapping, because that kind of gets to like you mentioned with like art noises and like stuff that I could understand people liking that sound, like normal noises that you hear like typing on the keyboard. I could see that being like ASMR that people like. But when people are like whispering into the mic and like that, like all that noise or whatever, it just want to slam them into a wall. Like it's just so, it just aggravates me to no end. And I don't even know if it's like, it's so, I feel so irrationally angry about it that I feel like it's rational. Like I feel like it's correct to be against it. But I don't have any logical reason. But like I'm curious, like the psychological reason why some people will just be like, oh yeah, this helps me sleep. And then it's like it's a polar opposite, because like I would not be only not relaxed by it, I just get a visceral rage from it and I just want to destroy it. And it's very bizarre. But I feel like it's morally correct. You should destroy ASMR. Like there should be no ASMR in a in a good wholesome society. Not in my America. The weird mouth noises though. Oh, it's so infuriating. That's gonna be my doctoral thesis. I'm gonna do brain scans of people who get angry. That's the only ethical reaction. So I've never preached violence against people, but ASMR, that's where it's like, they're like, well, violence is wrong. All that, you know, it's like, you shouldn't kill people. I'm like, then someone's countering me is like, what about ASMR? And you're like, that's a good point. Like, it's like people are like, execution is wrong. It's like you can come up with the most like heinous example of why it might be okay. They're like, you know, killing people is wrong. It's like ASMR exists though. It's like it's pretty hard to argue against ASMR. People aren't wrong about that. That's for sure. We'll go there. Doing pretty good on time. Maroon 93. He's born the same year I was. But let's ask ChatGPT the origins. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT why ASMR makes me angry. Why does ASMR make me want to commit acts of violence? What? You're definitely not alone feeling this way. A surprising number of people find ASMR irritating, even infuriating. Even instead of relaxing, here's why that might happen. Oh, this is gold. We're gonna learn so much in a second once I lose this game or win. I don't know what will happen. So he's gonna go, oh, he messed up. He's just giving me a pawn. He should have went over with the rook. All right, ChatGPT is gassing me up. They said I'm not alone. We're not alone, Tate. There's people that hate ASMR as much as us. We are not the freaks. should start a support group. I mean, support group, you know, a military operation. Like, there's multiple solutions to the ASMR problem. I feel like I could write a very like you have Mein Kampf that's like against the Jewish people. I feel like if that was written about ASMR, like it'd be like it's hard to argue against it. An armed support. It's a support group to support it not existing anymore. That is the key. All right, so if I stay here, he is trapped. Oh, I didn't see that. I'm dumb. I'm big dum-dum. I'm big dum-dum. But now he's trapped. Oh, he's actually trapped. Oh, pressure's on. Pressure's on. Oh no, I messed up. Oh, we didn't realize it. No! Oh, that's worse. That feels bad. All right, so what has ChatGPT said? Misphonia. So you may have a condition called misophonia, which is a strong negative emotional reaction like anger, disgust, or anxiety to specific sounds, especially soft, repetitive ones like whispering, lip smacking, tapping, or all common in ASMR. People with misophonia can feel rage or panic at these sounds. I definitely misophonia. That's a funny one because that sounds really accurate. That sounds because mine is not a panic. It's like a visceral rage or like disgust. Unfortunately, yeah, I messed up that one. You hate to see it. I should have won that one too. I was in the perfect spot to force a check. Fight or flight response. Instead of triggering the calming parasympathetic nervous system response ASMR is meant to stimulate, certain sounds might instead activate your sympathetic nervous system, the same response to fight or flight. This can make you feel tense, angry, or aggressive. So a combination of misophonia that's making me trigger my fight or flight response, violation of personal boundaries. ASMR often mimics intimacy, like whispering directly into your ear, performing personal care actions. For some people, it feels artificial and invasive. That's actually a good point. I agree with ChatGPT. It does feel artificial, and I think that's not the biggest issue I have with it, but it does feel very fake, and it's like invasive is another good word for it. This can feel uncomfortable or violating, triggering defensiveness or even aggression. I love all these are like, it might make you aggressive, it might make you a little aggressive. It's kind of normal. I think we both have that. Psychological contrast effect. So if your brain expects calm or relaxation, but instead met with something that feels creepy, irritating, or unnatural, this mismatch can result in an adverse emotional response, even violent mental imagery. If ASMR provokes strong, it's okay to just skip it. There's nothing wrong. It's just meant your brain is wired differently. It just means your brain is wired differently. Some people love it, and others, like you, want to throw their phone across the room when they hear someone whisper, "Today we're gonna brush your." And that's actually kind of funny because, like, when I hear it, like on my phone, decrease tolerance. So it sounds like a combination. Yeah, violence are quite clearly. They're like aggression, 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 and it's like the phone throwing across the room is like I think that's actually the most accurate. Like when I hear that, with my phone, you're listening on your phone or whatever, it's like that. Like, it's the thought of like if that person was in the room, it's just like you see a fly and you want to smack it. Like, it's not even like that person or like, oh, that person, I have to like, I want to like, I just want to hit and get that noise to stop. But like, yeah, it's on my phone. It's like, I actually have a very similar reaction to bodily injury, so like broken bones or like dislocations, stuff like that. I have a like disgust, like I really don't like looking at that stuff. I had a friend, I wasn't expecting him to send me, it was someone's like arm dislocated, and I had that same like, I actually almost threw my phone. Like, it was like, because I wasn't expecting it, and I was just like, oh god, and it was just terrible. And I remember it was on Instagram, I messaged him like, I can't handle that. Like, if you ever send me that again, I will just block you. Like, it's not even like, oh, I'll unfollow you, or I won't. It's like, I will literally just go to the ends of the earth to block you in every possible way. But he was real cool about it, because yeah, it is a pretty, I mean, like, I think not wanting to see injuries is a pretty common ick that people have. But like, I don't know how people can look at like dislocations and tears and stuff like that, and like not just like not want to see it. Not Yeah, people getting knocked out is not as, it's the like unnatural motion of the body that's what gets me. It's like the when the body moves in a way it's not supposed to, that's where it's like ugh. But I also think that's partially when I was in sixth grade, or it was fifth grade going into sixth grade, so it was in the summer. I broke my arm, and it was this arm, the radius right here, and it broke like that. So it was like chilling up here. So it was the bone, I guess, in a sense, was dislocated, but the bone had broke and slid on top of each other. So my arm looked like a Z. And I had assumed it's related to that, but I also feel like it's a pretty, even if I never had that, like, it's not like I was like, oh, I want to see this injury. Like, there's, I think, a very natural disgust towards that sort of thing. But I also wonder too, like, maybe that's related to my disgust of ASMR. It's like unnatural noises or artificial noises, and it's just like related to like the thought of like unnatural things like that happening. I don't know. But like, I would be interested to see like the brainwave difference of someone that becomes very relaxed when they hear ASMR, and then someone that becomes violent. Like, there's like, that's got to be like a really interesting way to like see what fires in your brain. It probably is like the fight or flight response in your brain. It just like lights up to where you're just like instantly you're in survival mode. You're in war. You're in medieval war mode at a certain point. But yeah, I'm getting like, it's like a little bit sweaty thinking about ASMR. I hate it so much. I think like my dislike of ASMR is to the point to where if I was in a relationship with someone and they were like, they chose to listen to ASMR, and it was something that they enjoy, like, I don't think I could actually, like, I think that would be like, I couldn't be in a relationship with that person. Like, I don't, even if they're like, there's just the chance of that would just be too much of a risk. But it was just like the idea of like, oh, the idea of ASMR, not in my house, not in my America, not in my household. rather have some liberal than a ASMR listener. No, I would see it on the headphones, and I wouldn't like it. That would be one. It's one of very few things where I'd be like, I don't have a tolerance for this. You're not allowed to listen to ASMR. Like, I have headphones on. I'm in a room with the door closed. Like, I know it's happening. I can't handle it. No. There would be no exception to that. There would be no mercy for that sort of thing. I suppose, I mean, if they were really like discreet about it in a literal sense, but like the thought of it existing is just, I don't know if I trust someone that enjoys it. It's just, I find it hard to trust someone that like says, we're getting into all kinds of like survival instincts. I feel violent. I distrust them. I want to, I want to throw out the Geneva Convention. Like, all of these things become valid in my brain when it becomes ASMR related. And it just seems completely rational. It seems like there should be no problem with being violent towards people. There should be no violence unless it's ASMR. They are respectable. Talk about, Hillary Clinton's deplorable human beings. I think she meant ASMR enjoyers. Those are the true deplorables. See, that's where, like, I would run for president, I'd get all the way, and someone asked me about ASMR, and I'd go on some, like, World War II style rant about how much I dislike them. And be like, all right, this guy's actually a psychopath. But it'd be worth it. Let me just take a... Whew, ASMR though. Alligator. See, people say alligator Alcatraz. We can't do it. It's a waste of money. But did they consider the the scourge of ASMR? They can make all of the ASMR. Now, here's a question: alligator ASMR. I feel like that would be pretty cool to listen to, like the chomping, the water, like. I guess that's kind of like the nature type stuff. Like, I don't necessarily like nature type stuff. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that's like nature related that would be, just giving up pieces. Just giving up pieces left and right. Go ahead and take it, brother. Yup. I'm cooked. Swamp sounds. Shrek. Just Shrek sounds. You hear a donkey and alligator noises. I actually just realized that I could have just... Gosh, I keep, like, not seeing these really obvious moves that I should see. Begone, demon. I mean, there's, they say, like, some things you can't know, like, there's an infinite number, like, there's no amount of things there's nothing good that's ever come from ASMR. If it helps someone sleep, then it's not legitimate sleep. It's immoral sleep. I feel like I need to rewrite the Bible and change just the fact that, like, just put ASMR in there. Then I'd be like the most biggest religious zealot. Everything else I don't care about, but the 11th commandment, any noise, any unnatural noises is inhumane. It's an abomination to the Lord. I would have stated, if ASMR was in the Catholic Church, I probably would still be quite religious. I'd be like, you know what? They got a point. That makes sense. I mean, honestly, if they had something like that, that probably would be like, man, that's, they got some good points in here. What's up, Reed? We are talking about the worst thing in the world. And I think this is, you could be mathematically prove that is true, but it is ASMR. Did you drugs the fossil? This is true. Reed, what is your opinion on ASMR? Do you like it, or are you basically what I'm asking, are you a bad person or do you not like ASMR? There's only one correct answer. And we're not talking about nature noises or ambient noise. Tate mentioned that she likes the noises that you hear in like in art setting, like the cutting and different things you hear in that sense. I was talking about ambient noises in like a weightlifting gym. We're talking about tapping the mic, the noises that people make with their mouths. What do we think about that? Personally, see, Reed, I like that you're not a fan of it, but I need you to be a little bit more of a zealot. I need more aggression towards it, because I'm not a fan of it, but I think it should be against the law. I think it's immoral. I think it's wrong. I think anyone that makes money off of it should be taxed 200%. I don't think there's anything worse in the world than ASMR. Oh, but it infuriates. It we chat GPT'd it and looked it up to see, like, what's the actual reason, like, why I get actually, because I don't just not like it, like I get like a visceral anger when I hear it, and it's hard to explain, like, man, why do I just, like, it's not just like, oh, I dislike it, I prefer not to listen to this. I get a visceral rage when I hear it, and I can't stand that it exists, and I want it to be illegal, and it should be illegal. I'm scared. Oh, he got me. This guy needs to get out of my face. Yeah, I think that's a big thing, is like, I don't understand the appeal of it, but like, I don't understand not even just like the lack of appeal, but like, I don't understand how you can't get angry. Like, I don't understand how someone can listen to it and not just be like in a fit of rage. Like, it's just, to me, that's the craziest part. It's not even someone like, nah, it's not my thing, versus like, I get, like, when those, if I see a short or like any sort of, sometimes on like YouTube shorts, they'll pop up sometimes, or just randomly. I try to block those people. Like, I try to do everything I can to just get rid of that person from my life. And there's just not a good way to like totally block someone on YouTube anyway. And it would just be ASMR people. But I've been ranting about it for like 40 minutes. It's part of my political platform, is the banning of ASMR without exception. We fixed healthcare, the housing crisis, and the scourge of ASMR on society. Yeah, it was really fun. So that gym, I think what got us talking about ASMR, I was talking about like how I enjoy the ambient noise of the gym, and that was one of the things that I liked with the video, because tomorrow I'll have the edited clips of just the training session. So like, just, the start of just a basic training video. But I don't have any commentary on it because I just like the sounds of the gym. But what? What? But I'm also gonna post the like unedited, I guess, session, because I recorded, I guess, 5 clips technically, and the oh no, let me take the queen, please. Oh, it's disastrous. But yeah, it's a gym that I would, if I lived up north with my parents, or like in the area where my parents are, it would be where I would train. It's a really nice gym, and I got there, so they, like, the weightlifting team trains, I guess, 10 to 1 on Saturdays, And so I got there, I think it was like 11:30 noon, like it was towards the end of that time, but I was in no rush to start training because at least for me, I don't know how you feel about it, but I get I don't I don't dislike training with other people, but like when you see like a lot of weightlifting gyms and they have like people stacked behind each other, like I feel like I can't train as hard in that situation because I just get too much anxiety that I'm going to like die. And that's just, I don't feel very secure in that sort of like shared space. I'd rather share a little barbell than like, oh, I'm gonna lift behind you. Like I'd rather you not. I'd rather you not lift behind me or in front or beside. I'd rather that not be the case. But yeah, it would be well, and that's why I kind of waited because like I didn't really want to like start training when there was someone there and like lift behind them or in front. So I just kind of waited till like one of the like where I was lifting, there was someone that was lifting in that spot, and once they were kind of done when I got there, and so I was just talking to my friend and kind of just, I mean, I wasn't in any sort of rush, especially there. So I actually warmed up more than I normally do because of that. That's one thing that I probably do. It's actually a positive response I have to like anxiety, like in a competition or something, is like I just warm up a lot more because I have to do something. So I end up stretching and like just doing more mobility work. So it ends up like making me more usually feel good in a competition setting. And that, you know, in the sense today was pretty similar to how a competition feels for me, to where like other people are watching and they know what's going on, and it's kind of, it's like that positive peer pressure. So it's nice in that regard, but like I almost feel like I get a more, and maybe this is because maybe I'm on the spectrum a little bit and I get a little more anxiety around social situations than the average person, but I feel like the boost you get from training with others is very similar to like the intake of caffeine or like any sort of like stimulant like that, is that if you never have it and then you have it, it's like it's a much larger effect than if you always have it. Like if I was always in that gym training, I feel like I wouldn't really get like, oh, I'm around other people and get like that major like psychological boost. But I feel like in that like, because I never have that, then it's like, wow, all these people are here and like watch me lift. It's like the same in competition. Like I get much more, I think I get much more of a psychological boost than like the average lifter, because I'm just never in that context. When you go from lifting in a shed or even at the gym that I'm at, and that's a lot less of a stimulative back or surrounding, then you go to like max stimulation. It's definitely, yeah, it has some benefits, but I almost feel like I don't know, I feel like with how many people are there, like I don't think I would enjoy that, just like sharing that space. That's too much of a narcissist, I think. I want to share, I want to share with y'all, I want my own space. But like especially for like squats or pull, like you're just kind of like, you know, I'd feel more social pressure to like not do a really maximal deadlift and get 14 plates on the bar, because it's like other people aren't going to be doing that generally, you know, like random stuff like that. And you kind of have negatives to that as well. But it's definitely good for like a change of pace, because I hadn't I don't know if I think I've trained with like a group of people like one other time when I was in Columbus, and I remember getting like a very similar like benefit with that. Oh, I guess because you just get my rook. You just get my rook. Unfortunate. It's definitely something like if you could find a cheap place to go to, and I don't know. It also, I guess it helped me too, because like the gym there, like I grew up in that area, so I like the head. I think he's technically a head coach, but like the coach of the team I went to college with, so like I'm friends with him, so I was able to like, you know, talk, and like he was a phys ed major too and everything, so like I was able to interact with him and have that. Like if it was just a random gym that I just randomly went to, I don't know if I would have as much of a positive experience like that, because it wouldn't matter necessarily like who the people were. But I don't know, people always say that's like, you need to train with other people, that's gonna be like the biggest benefit. But I kind of, I feel like there's a lot of stress when it comes to it. I feel like being in that environment all the time would be really stressful, but also from like the practical standpoint of like the lack of space would make it a lot more. I think that would be the hardest part for me, is like the sharing the space in a way that's like not just going to give me a ton of anxiety to like do a snatch or something. And I don't know, maybe make me lift better. Yeah, I mean, I think yeah, it's kind of like in a competition setting, or even in that setting, like clean and jerks are a lot easier. But what I feel like the pressure, it's the same with the competition. It's like a desperation to hold the position of the lift. So it's less of, it's odd because it's like I have to keep the bar close, and it's not like I want to make this lift, therefore I have to keep the bar close. It's like, this is life or death. I have to keep the bar close, because then if I miss, I look like an idiot. That's where like I think a lot of the pressure is good in that sense, because it makes you lift with higher quality. But like having that for me all the time, I think would, maybe it would be helpful in some regards, but I think would just be too stressful a lot of the time. And I think if you like my friend that's the coach there, I think like he would do a good job of coaching us. I think he does a good job of coaching. He's a real nice guy, and I know he has a good education, because we have the same degree, same classes and everything. But I don't know. I think I would be the person that would show up towards the end of like the team time. Like I can't imagine lifting in the midst of that chaos. At least to me, it looks like it feels like chaos. Oof, the heebie-jeebies. But it's nice when there was the few people there when I was lifting, because you can kind of see him in the background of the videos. The bald guy, he was wrestling in one of the clips. I don't think it's not on Instagram. It'd be in the full video. I think when I was doing muscle snatches, he was wrestling someone. But I think he coaches a place in Pittsburgh as well, he was saying. So he's getting out there. But I think even if I lived up north, I don't know if I would train there I think I would still be kind of how I am now, where I'd like to have my own facility. I think I'm predisposed to always wanting something like that for the convenience, but also like I enjoy the solitude of it. Like I don't feel necessarily an issue. I don't know, it's weird. I'm weird. We know this. We know this. I mean, you could say that, but like still hitting 3, like, is that a 3 rep max, or like, have you done 130 for 3 before? That, I mean, you can't get, that's like maximum weirdness, so you are correct. So it sounds like I live in the I'll say in the Middle East. Sounds like I live in various war zones around the world with all the fireworks that are still going off. It's July 6th. The fireworks should be done. Get him out of here. I feel like I'm part dog too. I get annoyed. I don't get like anxiety with fireworks. I just get annoyed. It's like it's illogical that there's fireworks right now. It's July 6th. You should have blown them all up by now. But is 130 a 3 rep max, or was 125 what you have done? 2, maybe 1 at that point. Have you done like, why did you go to 130 instead of 125? Like, was 125 like, is 125 matching a PR or something? Okay. I mean, well, and like you talked about with your wrist thing, like the fact that you're just doing rep maxes in general is already a positive thing. But also like a 5 rep max in a front squat is just really difficult to do. Rep maxes in general, front squat in general are difficult, but for front squats, I feel like are extremely difficult to do well. And like a 5 rep max, I consider like important for like doubles and triples. But like if my 5 rep max, I feel like I did that relatively recently because I knew it was really low. It was 150 for a while. Even when my best front squat was 195, like my 5 rep max was 150 because I just never tried to do more because it just hurt so much to do it. I feel like it was bad. I feel like I messed up a little bit. And, you know, honestly, that's a good enough reason. But like doing a good 3 reps, and I think I think you failed on the 4th one if I remember the video correctly. Like to have the confidence of like you're gonna do the set of 5, and then like it's not like, oh, I got gassed out and you like gave up or whatever. Like you tried to do it even if it was like insurmountable. Because like today I tried to double a heavy back squat double, and like obviously I failed it, but like the thought of like I had enough goal to be like, all right, I'm going for a second one, and like having that, I don't want to say necessarily like maybe belief is the correct word, but like you have that, I don't know, I guess belief is kind of the correct word, but you kind of just have that thought that like, all right, I can do this. I was like, I can actually do it. But I mean, if you're doing it for 3, then oh yeah. Honestly, I mean, when I try to do rep maxes for squats, I just do singles. I mean, I might do like a double, but like when I did, when I worked up, well, yeah, any back squat reps, even when I was doing like 10 rep maxes, I would do singles all the way up. And then just go to that if I was doing like a 10 rep max even. Not that I think necessarily doing a double or anything is necessarily bad, but it's definitely hard when you're sweaty. That is a major hindrance to being able to do front squats. I mean, especially, I mean, it's just a mess now. But that's why it's like when I see people do clean jerks without a shirt on, I'm so confused because like, how does it not just fall off? Like, how do you just not miss every single clean? To me, that blows my mind because like I'm just a sweaty guy, I guess. But well, it's nice too. So like if you're planning like a 2 rep, and that's where rep maxes I find are nice. Is like today I tried to do I thought maybe I could do a double max, but like I did it for a single or whatever, and failed the second one. Like I'm not disappointed in that at all. Like it was still a good weight to do for one, but setting yourself up to like give yourself the potential to do a double, or like you do a double and it's like, all right, maybe I could try to do a triple. Like you can have that confidence too. It's like, I know I'm gonna try to. It's kind of like with front squats, because was when I did that 190. Partially, I was hoping to do it for a double. I knew it was pretty unlikely because obviously I hadn't done it for a double before. 183 was my best double, and I just did that like a week ago. And trying to get to that, I knew wasn't like, I guess it's like it's important to have like the aggression to be like, I want to push this number up, but to know like if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And even if you do, like you try a double max and you fail your double max, you probably did it for one still. That's where I find them very useful. Like if I try to do a 10 rep max and I get 8 reps, like I still did 8 reps, so it's like you still get some of that benefit. That's where like 1 rep maxes are a little bit they can be stressful in that regard. It's like you fail it and then you literally get nothing, whereas it feels like you get nothing. But I think for like front squat, at least for me in particular, like anything more than triples, I don't necessarily say they're useless, but like they're really hard for me to progress in an effective way up. Doubles, I think for me, are the most useful, and then triples as well. Obviously, singles are obviously going to be the most useful. Yeah, I mean, if you did 130 and front squats are interesting as well, because I would say you're pretty likely for that. Because if you're talking about like whatchamacallit, like a back squat, like that number can be a little bit further away, but like front squats can be pretty close. Like your 2 rep max and 3 rep max can be pretty close to each other because of just and say it's not technically difficult in a sense, but like it's a lot of holding the positions is difficult to do. But yeah, if you did 130 for 3 reps, like getting 140 for 2, And even like, I mean, what's your best front squat for a single? And I assume 140 for a double would be a rep max. So it's that 147. And it's, even if you was like, oh, I only got, you do 140, you only get it for one. It's like, that's already, you're working at a high percentage. It's like when I did the 183 of, well, I mean, you assume 190 is pretty much like my one rep max currently. And like doing 183 for a double is like a really high percentage of that. So it's like already a really good state. But even like when I did that 183 mat double, I was hoping to do it for, I kind of like, I hope I could do it for a triple, but I know like it's probably not going to be feasible. Like I'm probably going to be too cooked from the reps to do it. He wants to take my pieces. I don't really like that he wants to take all my pieces. It's kind of toxic, to be honest. It's honestly disrespectful. But now, the other question, are you actually going to do 140 or are you going to go to the gym and do it in pounds? Because then you're kind of stuck between 300 or 305 and 315. I guess you can kind of do 310. That's pretty close to 140. That'd be the real question. That's what I was thinking. I mean, 3 plates. It just feels better than trying to load on 305 or 310 or whatever. I want to be able to front squat 200 this year, but I'm weak in the front squat. Front squats are hard. I feel like I should be able to do a 200 front squat relative to what I can do in the back squat. Well, and you never know on those days as well if you have one of those 80 to 85% days, if it's like, you do your doubles and you're like, I actually feel ready to go today. Because that's kind of an interesting thing with front squats as well, is I find I mean, like obviously like super maximal ones where you're really grinding are kind of still wear you out, but I feel like a heavy front squat doesn't fatigue me as much as a heavy deadlift or a heavy back squat. I feel like neurologically it's a little less taxing. But also I think that could be because like once my speed slows down, I just fail the rep. Like it's a natural like brake system in there to where like I can't grind through it generally. I guess I'll just do that. Take my queen. Deadlifts and everything else I can kind of grind through. I can get closer to that C in this. Front squats are the overhead press of squats. Because I almost feel like, obviously it's a demonstration of leg strength, but I almost feel like it's more of a demonstration of positional strength. Yeah. Well, that's where it's like, it's hard to like be disappointed where it's like, I don't know, I almost get more it's a weird feeling because I very rarely will fail a front squat because of like my leg strength, but when I do, I'm like, all right, I actually held the position. I was like, I actually got the fail because my legs were too weak. It's very rare where it's like that. It's like that 190 that I just did where I had to like walk it forward. It was like slipping and I was losing my front rack and everything, and it was just like, oh gosh, like everything felt bad positionally. But when I can actually like really hold that position and it's just like a grind with my legs, it feels almost as easy as a back squat. Like when I do reps like that, I'm like, oh, I can front squat a ton, but I just can't consistently hold that position. Or like if I start to fail, it's usually my left arm that dips down a little bit, and then it just is a cascading negative effect of just death when it comes to that. But yeah, I mean, if you could do 130 for 2 or 3, and it's like the breakdown was also like positional, so like you have the strength to do more. That double at 140 or 143, I think is definitely possible. I mean, I really think you could front squat 150 for a single. If you've done 147, you've done 130 for 3. But it's a lot of like feeling that. That's another tricky part with front squats as well. It's like it's trying to feel the weight on yet the tolerance of that front rack as well, because that's like one thing. Once you are doing like percentage wise heavier weights in the front squat, it just feels heavier, but it like is a different kind of heavy than like when a back squat, because it's, you know, obviously it's on your back, so it's just like in that position, so it's heavier than everything else. And then it's like you're feeling it rattle a little bit and you're like, I have to fight for this position really hard. I feel like a back squat is just kind of like it's locked in, just in a lot easier of a position, but I can also grind through it a lot more. But I know for me, this was like the end of the 3rd week block, so this was the heaviest lifts today of the 3 weeks. And then it's kind of like a reset next week back to lower weights. I might restructure some of the days of training and keep it a bit lighter. Yeah. But after, so I want to keep some of or actually most of the training the same, but I might change some of the structure. I was kind of doodling stuff out to kind of see what it looks like in different senses, but I mean, with how the results of this 3rd week block, and it means I kind of don't really want to change too much. But well, you don't, how I'm treating deloads now, I never really like doing them because I don't want to say it's like it's a wasted week of training, but I feel like if you structure training well, you don't need to have a week that's low in intensity and volume. I think when you lower the intensity, that is a deload because it's just you're doing more volume. And it's easier to recover from. Like it's almost like you need to deload the neurological fatigue. Like your muscles are going to be fine, but it's like if you're just grinding through weights all the time, like you need a break from that. And that's how I'm kind of approaching it, to where I have the ChatGPT program. But essentially what I got it to write, communicate with it, was getting it to have 3-week blocks, but like those 3-week blocks build on top of each other and they add into like a full 9-week training cycle. So it's not just week 1 is the lightest intensity, week 9 is. That's true, but it's more of that undulating periodization where it's linear if you draw like the best fit line on it, but it undulates. So like this 3rd week goes up, the 2nd block or the 1st week drops back down, but it's still like above a little bit that 1st week. So like if I did 90 kilos on the block snatch, when I come back this week to do block snatches again, I want to do 95 for that same amount of reps that I did before, ideally, and like kind of have that similar trend. So then as you build up, instead of whatever weights I did, I'm hopefully doing a little bit more or hitting another rep max or something like that, and kind of undulating in that regard. So like it's not every week that I'm going to 100% maximum. I think that's where I have to get better at, is not just trying to push beyond what my body is prepared for that week. Because like Thursday,
and I like deleted the clips because I was just annoyed. I got up to, I didn't miss past 110. Like I made 110. I jumped to 120 and I tried to snatch 120 8 times on Thursday. I kind of made it once and I missed it once behind. And the other, so that was twice. And um, the other 5 times I all missed the same way in front, and then the last one I clarked because I was too fatigued. But like I'll do stuff like that, and it's like I know I'm not. I should. My plan was to do 110 and like 140, but then like I feel pretty good. I'm gonna try this, and then I get close, and I'm just like beat myself up to no end. And there's some benefit to like the grits of that, but it's just like I have a plan. It's logical, and then I just don't follow it, or I go beyond it and just cook myself, because then I clean and jerked 140, and then just I don't even know if I think I missed 150 on Thursday as well, because I just wasn't even close to it because I had done 4,000 snatches. And it's like I have to know that like each week is going to build up and not push beyond that. But at the same time, it's important. That's where it's a balancing act. Like if you feel really good and like this is a day where I can push for a PR, where I can push to heavy lift, like it's important to do that. But it's important to not just do it because you want to, but because your body is saying like we're ready to attempt this weight, we're ready to do this weight. And that's, I think, forever the tricky part, is that lifter delusion of like, I think I feel pretty good, I kind of want to try it, this weight felt pretty good, and not just be like, all right, like what I should have done Thursday is hit 110, feel happy about it because it felt good, do 140, hit it, be happy, and then just relax. And like thankfully Friday I didn't train or anything because it was family time. But it's just like having that consistent mindset of like, you don't have to, even if you feel good, stop. And I did that the day before that, where I had a really light lifting day where I just worked up to 90 a couple times and 110 a couple times, and I was like, I feel actually good. Like I felt really loose and like physically felt good, but I was like, I'm stopping here because I knew like I wanted to potentially lift heavy the next day. But you have to have those controlled demolition of where you want to be able to give yourself the opportunity to go heavy, but then have that self-control on the other days where it's like, I know like Saturday I'm gonna be like, I could go heavy on that day, so like I know on Thursday I need to like have a limit of this so I don't destroy that. Yeah. And it's tricky because like when you're talking about like rep maxes and stuff, I think that's where it naturally undulates your training. Because when I'm talking about like lifting like an idiot and maxing out, yeah, like reps are a little bit easy. Like I don't know, reps are a good equalizer in that regard. When you're just pushing singles, then it's like you can really push yourself into a whole kind of physically, I mean, if they're really heavy attempts, but also like emotionally, if you miss weight a whole bunch of times, like it's just like it grinds you down a little bit. But if you're trying like rep stuff, then it's a little bit like, I don't know, I think it's mentally easier to try to do and like recover from. Like if I was doing like a clean double, I miss a second clean, like it's fatiguing in a regard, but like mentally I'm not like, oh no, I missed the second clean. It's like, I just wasn't there. But if I missed the first clean, I'm crashing out. Like I'm ready to throw away all my weightlifting stuff. And it's kind of like doubles in the snatch. Like if I miss a second rep, like, I made the first one, and you can like take that positive from it. But if I miss the first rep of a double, I'm like, I'm ready to just throw away my bar and burn down my shed. But yeah, and it's important too to like push yourself where it makes sense, but have those days where you have to have that limit. And I think for me too, it's like having days where I just try to move well and move fast with a light weight is going to help me lift better and lift a heavier weight on a different day. Even if I want to lift heavier, or if I feel good to lift heavier on that day, to know like, even if I just come and just do 90 and 110, I just do it. And I think that's where it can help limit me a little bit more, is like I can do that. If I want to do 90, that's like the limit for the day. It's like I can just do it as many times as I want. Like that's where like I have to have like that. If I feel good, like just do it more, just do more reps at that weight, just do it more singles or doubles or whatever. It's like same with like clean and jerks to be a little bit more careful about because they're more fatiguing. But it's like you kind of have to give yourself the out of like if you feel, what's today's training going to look like if it feels good, and what's it going to look like if it feels bad. Like what can you, not necessarily always thinking like what you can take out, but like what do I have to get done today for it to be a good day of training. And then like you can always kind of back in your mind up like what things you can kind of push if you're feeling really good. Like if you're pushing a push press, or like you said a clean, like if you're pushing one specific thing, what do I have to hit today so I don't crash out? And then what would be really cool to hit? And then it's like, maybe you get up to that. And this has happened to me with like squats sometimes. It's like, all right, my minimum is like, I want to hit 170. And it's like, I know that if I hit 170 and it feels really good, I'm going to want to try to go up. But like, I try to always have that minimum benchmark of like, this is what is important for me in my mind to do today and to actually succeed at. And then if I push above beyond that, that just means that everything was moving well and I feel good. But if I say I went from 175 to, I think I did this the other day, to, wait, was it 185 or 190? Or I was, I guess, let's say I failed the 190 squat. Like I do 175 was like, I should be able to hit this. There's no reason I shouldn't be able to. I should be able, and like 190, it's like, that's like, if everything goes right, I might be able to do it. Maybe a double is like everything goes perfect, but yeah. And it, for me, like it helps with those expectations, and it helps you like mentally get through those days a lot better. Because like if I set like, if I like today I was up at Rubber City and I was like, I'm gonna snatch 130 because I'm around other people and I'm gonna be hyped up, and then I snatch 125, like I would go up to 130 and then miss it and then feel bad. But like knowing that like I caught 125, my elbows a little, or my lockout was a little bit soft, I'm like, I'm gonna stop there because like I was more than I thought I was gonna. Like I was really hoping for 120 because I had missed it so many times the other day, and I was like, I missed it the first time behind, and I was like, oh, this is just, it was pure technique, which for me, like missing behind is, I don't say almost always a good thing, but it's almost always correctable. When I miss in front, like that could just be speed and it could be a lot of errors. When I miss behind, it's like, oh, I literally just threw it behind me. I just yeeted it behind me most of the time. And I was like, all right, like if today is good, hitting 120, 150, it's like, but I wanted to make sure, instead of going 110 to 120, it's like, I want to make sure I do 115, because if I hit 115 and then I, for whatever reason, can't do 120, I'll still feel good about this training. And it was same with like the clean jerk. It's like, I for sure want to do 150, no matter how 140 feels, I'm going to 150, because I want that to be like, I can miss 155. It was kind of a surprising lift to me today, but like I can miss that I can miss that whenever, but it's like I want to have that, what would feel like good on a heavy day. And it's hard because like when you set those minimums too, it's like you consistently hit them because they're minimums, and you're like, I want my minimums to be higher. Like I hit 110, 140, like I want to do 115, 145 every single, like I want that to be my minimum. But it's important that those minimums are exactly that. They are the minimums, and they are going to be, relatively stagnant. Obviously over long periods of time they go up a little bit, but like those are always like what's productive based on like what my 1 rep max is on that particular lift. But I kind of, and I wish I could do heavy Fridays. I always feel like I lift better on Saturdays though, and I think that's just from like a school standpoint, to where it's like I don't work on Saturdays. Nope, most people don't work on Saturdays, but like I can sleep in and kind of train whenever on that day. But when it's Fridays, it's like I'm tired from school, and it's just, sometimes I can lift real well, and sometimes it's very random those days. I feel like Saturday I just have more control of how I feel. But the minimums are the way to go. It's just hard to always have the same minimums, or I guess like in theory you could push up like a kilo each time, or push really small numbers like that. But I don't like doing weird numbers like that. I like whole numbers, multiples of 5. My callus is jacked up. I actually have 2 calluses that are, or one that's on my hand. I'll show you that one. That was started to open up after I did snatches today, and so I had to it wasn't as open as it is now. On when I was lifting, I still had I still had a little piece of skin there, but then I have it on a thing on my thumb as well, a little blister that's coming up, which is also perfect. That this next week is lighter stuff, so I'm not as worried about if I have to use more straps and stuff. I kind of will for reps and stuff, but I don't know. I'm happy with how training is going. I'm trying to work a lot harder on my shoulder as well to get it as good as it's ever going to be, and trying to make it as not necessarily as mobile as I can, but just trying to make it as stable and mobile as I can, and trying to be intelligent with it, and not doing 120 8 times and missing it a whole bunch of times is probably not the best thing to do for it. The minimums for me, particularly for that, are going to be good for the qualities of the lift, but also just the building the stability and maintaining the stability, which is just as important as building it. But thankfully, nothing ever gets worse in the shoulder. It's just kind of it's consistent. But I thought I forgot my wrist wraps today, so I thought my lifts would struggle because my left wrist has been an issue. A little bit of one, but I didn't feel it all today. And I took ibuprofen yesterday, and I thought, and it was in the morning, it was early too when I took it, and I had brought more because I had like my normal vitamins and stuff, and I put some in. I was like, I'll take some Saturday morning, and like, because I want to go as crazy as I can. And I didn't realize I forgot my wrist strap, so I was at the gym, but I was like, I might have to use some straps today for snatches, and then clean and jerks might not go well because those wrist straps for those always help. But I did all the lifts without them, and I didn't have any. I actually have a little bit of wrist soreness on my right side, but like my left wrist held up perfectly. It was really odd because I was like, man, I'm gonna catch like 60 kilos in the snatch, and like it's gonna hurt. it's not gonna feel like my wrist is stable enough to do without straps. But I don't know, maybe it was adrenaline and whatnot that helped me get through it. But nothing's really sore now, especially my left. I'm really surprised my left wrist is not like, there's just nothing with it, and it had been like so sore before. So whatever that was kind of evened itself out and moved to it moved back to the right wrist, so it goes back and forth, but it's not too bad. I think it was probably on one of the last clean and jerks, kind of like that. It's just the hyperextension of when the hand's holding the weight above there. It's probably related to that, but who knows. But thanks for coming by, Reed, and Tate, which if you didn't know Reed, she is a girl. I thought Tate was a boy, but Tate is a Canadian girl. So we have females in the chat, but appreciate you coming by. And yeah, the training video will be out tomorrow morning, and then the uncut, unfiltered, it's like a super long video, will be out. Oh, that's sweet. I didn't realize you had a minimum, there was a minimum number for you to go live, but that's good. You got to get 3 more. Keep posting I guess everything, but shorts will be anything will help with that. But I guess what is it? So it is 50. Yeah, I mean, you get to 50, that won't be a problem. But cool. All right, deuces.